بس بدأنا كده. هنكمل Unlimited Blade Wars. Let's fucking go. بس خلاص حصل لي ديمونتايز كده. يا باسم
هنبدأ هذا من فيه اليوم ولا؟
هذا عرفنا نخلص اصلا Unlimited Blade Wars. ما بيقدر يخلص ولا لا يعني. ما ادري تكفي ولا لا.
هذا قديم مراني
هذه النوفل يا بسام مو الانمي. ممكن الموضوع يطول. قدرت تخش ولا عادة؟
الحين قاعد اخش.
وكلب لانك لو
بسم الله
زمانك هناك من بدري. بسم الله دخلنا. هو ليش فيل على طول؟ انا عادي نقول كونتينيو فيل على طول. ليش كذا بالراحة؟ And I recall his dream, the memory of a man who was set up as a hero, the story of a knight whose end came to a place that I can't reach. That hell is his world, the desolate wasteland that the man obtained by fighting for others. Apparently he died smiling in satisfaction, holding on to his view.
バカじゃないの、本気で。
You are absolutely right, Ren. He is seriously stupid. I agree. Yes. That just makes me seriously mad. He tried his best, worked hard even though he was an ordinary person, and finally obtained a miracle with his own blood. Then it'll be a lie if he doesn't become happy. If he made many people happy, then he had to become happier than all those people combined. But he did not receive such a reward. The only thing he was given was the fate to be used as a guardian after his death. That's right. Why didn't I realize that? Guardians are summoned into every age. Doesn't that mean they are summoned from every age? In other words, from the present and the past. And heroic spirits can even be summoned from the future we have not yet seen. For guardians who are pushed into a position of the X-time, the concept of time does not exist. At the point they become heroic spirits, they sublimate into something other than what they used to be when they were human. Then, it is possible for a guardian to be summoned into a place where the age they lived in when they were alive. It is vexing when I think about it. It's because neither of them gets salvation. The one that watches his past self, or the one that watches his eventual self, they will only be hurt by how they changed. I already know the end of this big idiot who tried to be of help to others. He became a guardian by choice. He thought that it was more than he could ask for if he could save people even after he died. He did not have the power to save people when he was alive, but he believed that he could break through any tragedy as a heroic spirit. Thinking so, he made a contract with the world to give his body after death and saved hundreds of lives. He believed he would be able to save tens of thousands of people and more after that. But he was betrayed by such hope. Places where heroic spirits and guardians appear are only hell. They only appear when the world is about to be destroyed by people. Humans are beings that perish by their own doings. That's why the process of destruction should always be the same. He was only summoned to those hells. In the land where the ones he wanted to save were already dead, he killed even more people. The boy who said he just didn't want to see anyone cry could only see humans crying forever. Oh. توقع دي شوي. There is only one thing I can say. He has been betrayed by many things the whole time. And in the very end, he was even betrayed by the only thing he believed in, his ideal. I am the bone of my sword. Steel is my body and fire is my blood. I have created over 1,000 blades, unknown to death, nor known to life, have withstood pain to create many weapons. yet those hands will never hold anything. So, as I pray, unlimited blade works! That was the only spell he was given. What is that? It makes me so mad that I want to beat his chest and scold him. I, Ren Tosaka, have never had any hardships in my life. So I might not have the right to say it, but I believe in working hard and going through the pain. It is wrong not to be rewarded for your battles. That's why I'm angry at his unrewarded life, and most of all, I can't leave him, who ended up cursing his life being. As long as you are my servant, I won't do anything other than what I believe in. I'm not as naive as Shiroimiya, but there are still things that I cannot give up. No matter who it is, I don't have the intention of giving up. That's right. That's why I swore that, as long as I am his master, I will believe in my path like he used to do. That's about all I can show to him. That's about the only way I can repay him. That might have been meaningless, but at least I do it so that Archer, who lost sight of his own past, could realize that his life was something he can be proud of. صباح الخير بالليل يا رن. The first thing I notice when I wake up from my slumber are the sensations in my limbs. They hurt, and I can't move them.
縛られてる。
Blossom sitting in a chair and seem to be sleeping in an unnatural position. I don't want to admit it, but I'm in the worst possible situation. To be honest, I can't do anything. My hands are behind the chair and restrained by something like handcuffs. My ankles are the same and I can't stand from my chair. On top of that, my handcuffs and shackles are Magecraft resistant, and my magic circuit is so messed up that I can't even create magical energy. Why is your magic circuit messed up there? Now that I've confirmed my situation, I check my surroundings. It's cold. The room made of stone has no heater and is in an abandoned place that hasn't been used for a while. It's dark outside, the windows from the looks of it. It's probably 10 p.m. or so.
で、どういうつもりよ、あーちゃん。
I glare into the darkness. The shadow of the pillar. The knight in red is sitting on a pile of rubble.
どうもこうもない。お前はエミやシロを釣る餌だ。それは自分でも分かっているだろう。
私がいなくたってシロなら勝手に来るわよ。そんなことあなたならわかるでしょうに。
そうだな。だがそこにお前がいては都合が悪い。ことが済むまで目障りな邪魔者にはここでおとなしくしていてもらう。
Asher stays without appearing in front of me. There is no sign of previous intimacy. He's really a calm assassin now.
そう。どうあってもシロを殺すっていうのね、あなた。
あのような甘い男は今のうちに消えた方がいい。
He replies as if it's only natural. The only thing I can see from here is his shadowed side profile. His expression is cold as if he's wearing a mask. That makes me seriously infuriated.
シロが甘いってことは言われなくても分かってるけど。
I take a breath. It'll end if I say this. Asher will never come back to me if I say that. I take a breath and stare at the man in the shadows.
それでも私はあいつの甘いところが愛しいって思う。
Ha! True. معك حق رين والله فعلا. Still lovable regardless.
あいつはああでなくちゃいけないって。ああいうやつがいてもいいんだって救われてる。けどあんたはどうなの？そこまでやっておいて身勝手な理想論を振りかざすのは間違ってるって思ったわけ？何度も何度も他人のために戦って何度も何度も裏切られて何度も何度もつまらない後始末をさせられてそれで人間ってものに愛想が尽きたっていうの？あんちゃん！
I get even more angry as I speak and I'm yelling at the top of my lungs. Asher doesn't answer. His side profile consumed in the shadows is no longer the side profile that I know. Interlude out. يلا بينا يا شيرو، يلا نروح نضرب الفيوتشر بتاعك، نعلمه الأدب. رجعنا هنا تاني.
救うことはできない。
فين تاني؟
هتعرف دلوقتي. When I heard that from the man I believed could save everyone, all I felt was
いいか
repulsion.
しろ。正義の味方に救えるのは 味方をした人間だけだ。
I didn't like those wars either. I didn't want the person who I thought was the hero of justice himself to say such a realistic thing. Since that time, my life has just been trying to overturn those wars. There is no need for sacrifices. Nobody will be hurt if you work hard and you do your best. My old man must have always admired that as well. So,
安心した。
I can't look away from his final moment. Tosuke said that such a life is distorted. I know. I realized that a long time ago. There's no such world where nobody gets hurt, and there's no happiness where nobody gets hurt. Such a convenient utopia does not exist anywhere in this world. The hero of justice that I'm trying to become is just a hypocrisy.
人助けの果てには何もない。
So, I know that without having to be told.
他人も自分も救えない。偽りのような人生だ。
Yeah. Even if that's true, I won't let you say it. I don't care if anyone other than him denies it. But I won't let him say it. The same things. We have the same beginnings, and even if I were to turn out like that, no, that's why I have to deny him. So that he doesn't approve of the former Shiro Emiya. As long as I'm here, I won't approve of him. Even if this dream is distorted. If I believed in this, and decided that I will keep on believing in it, then I wake up. I look at the clock right away and see that it's past 11 p.m.
目が覚めましたか、シロ。
Saber says in a calm voice, sitting on her knees. Oh, the things I would like to do to her when she's on her knees, but we're not going to go there right now. قصدي عيب كده. ايه بس سامع الكلام اللي الادب ده. تحترم نفسك بس سامع عيب كده. It has already been half an hour since we came back from this church. انا ممكن اقعد نص ساعة كاملة بس عشان سيبر on her knees بصراحة. بس سام قلنا ما تحرم نفسك بعيب كده. She must have been watching over me the whole time I was unconscious.
起きた。体も問題ないよ。疲れも取れたし、頭痛も消えた。
I get up from the bed. The sensations in my limbs are back to usual. The magic circuit that I overused is still exhausted, but it hasn't burned up.
行くのですか、シロ。
Saber suddenly asks. The answer is obvious, so I silently nod back.
わかりました。では私も同行します。ですがシロ。リンは私のマスターです。彼女を救い出すのは私の役目だ。アーチャーは私が止めますから、シロ。
逆だ、セイバー。アーチャーとは俺がやる。
I interrupt Saber. She looks at me uneasily.
それはダメだ、シロ。アーチャーはあなたの。
She hesitates, having a hard time seeing it.
分かってる。あいつが何者なのかは多分出会った時から分かってた。
Oh, بيقول لك I think I knew he was from the first time I met him يا بسام. بيقول يعني تقريبا هو شك من أول مرة شافه. I was repulsed by him without reason from the first time we met. I stubbornly hated him, thinking that I could not approve of him. That is only natural. Any person would look away if they are shown their own mistakes.
けど、だからこそあいつがしたことは認めない。あいつとだけは俺が決着をつけなくちゃいけないんだ。
I stand up. My body is in great condition. There is only half a day until time is up. I can't spend any more time resting.
シロ。
こんなことを言える立場じゃないけど、頼む、セイバー。アーチャーとは俺がやる。その時、どうなっても手を出さないでいてほしい。
I bow as I ask Saber.
いいえ。そのようなことをする必要はありません。シロ。あなたがそう望むのなら、私はそれに従いましょう。この身はあなたの盾になると誓ったのです。その行く末を最後まで見届けます。
يا اسطى سيبر cool as heck. Fashikha, Fashikha, I love her so much. I swore that I would be your shield. I shall see your fate off until the end. Have a Sam?
Yes.
Also, roll credits. Her answer is perfect. Her dignified voice sweeps away any uneasiness lingering in my mind.
ありがとう。セイバーが見守ってくれるんなら心強い。
はい。私もあなたがそうであってくれて嬉しい、シロ。
She smiles back. We've prepared for departure now. Go, our hero of justice. Let's see what you can do. We leave my house. Who would have thought that he would go back to that castle again?
おい、お前ら、人の話聞いてねえだろ。
Huh?
は
Huh? We both turn around. Oh,
Huh?
come to think of it, Lancer is still here.
なんだ、案外暇なんだな、あんた。
It just slips out. He seems to be aware of it himself, as he doesn't seem to deny it.
ランサー、あなたが何を企んでいるかは知りませんが、私たちに同行しても得るものはありません。アーチャーはすでにマスターを持たないサーバント。あなたのマスターが倒したがるとは思えませんが。
ああ、分かってる分かってる。別にアーチャーの野郎をどうこうしようって気はねえ。坊主と奴の殺し合いにも手は出さねえから安心しろ。
では何のためについてこようというのです。私との決着を望むのならここでつけても構いませんが。
いや、それも願い下げだな。俺は貴様のマスターと敵対する気はない。むしろ売りたいのはオンでね。ここらで貸しを作っておこうと、そういう腹だ。
Saber glares at Lancer. نظرة بتاعتها فشيخة. And Lancer aloofly ignores her stare. نظرتها فشيخة أوي بحبها.
わかった。好きにしろ。遠坂を助ける手助けをしてくれるならこっちも助かる。
シロ、ランサーは敵です。そのような軽い決断は。
その点は大丈夫だろう。そいつ根性ひん曲がってるけど嘘を言うやつじゃないし、何より回りくどいことなんてできない。俺たちを騙したいんならその前に真正面から倒しに来てるさ。
بالضبط معها حق.
それはそうですが、しかし。
معها حق هو مش من النوع ده خالص.
いや、セイバーが嫌だって言うなら追っ払う。けどこいつ放っておいてもついてくるぞ。それならそばにいさせて監視した方が楽だろ
う。たった数日で随分と口がうまくなったのですね、シロ。
التطور بتاع الإيروجي بروتاغونست EX.
いや、いろいろあったから。ま、そういうことだ、ランサー。俺たちもあんたに関与しないから、あんたも俺たちには口を出さない。それでいいなら一緒に行こう。
I call to Lancer who is watching us with a smile.
十分だ。いや、いいコンビじゃねえか。セイバーは見ての通り融通が利かないからな。お前が大人になってくれて助かったぜ。
そのようなことはありません。融通が利かないのはむしろシロの方だ。私がどれほど苦労したか、あなたに何がわかるのです。
Cute! بس معاه حق. هو اللي فعلا مش flexible مش هي.
さあ。なんだ？聞けば話してくれるのか、セイバー。いいぜ。城までは随分とある。道中お前の苦労話を魚としよ
う。なぜ私がそのようなことを説明しなくてはならないのです。それこそあなたには無関係ではないですか。
تحولت. كورجي سيبر. أتاري الكورجي سيبر هي أصل الكورجي كاستوريا. Saber accuses Lancer. Saber and Lancer really don't get along. I didn't think that Saber would yell like Tosaka.
まあいいか。それより行くぞ。遊んでる暇はないんだ。できるだけ早く城に行かなくちゃいけないんだからな。
I leave the two behind and start walking.
シロ、私は遊んでいるわけではありません。
She must still be worked up as she yells that as she catches up. Lancer keeps his distance from us and follows us aloofly. Based. Lancer truly is based يا اسطى. شخصيته لذيذة بصراحة. It's midnight. I know how long it takes to get to the castle from here. We should be able to make it in time. We'll most likely get there by dawn. We head towards the masterless old castle in the forest and start walking in the night. وليه طيب ما كنت تخلي سيبر تشيلك وتمشي خلاص كنت هتوصلوا اسرع بكتير بدل الهبل ده. صح كده ولا انت ايه رايك يا بسام؟
صح.
يعني بدل الهبل ده سيبر هتشيله كنا هنخلص انتهينا. يا خوفي بس ما اعرفش اجيب الجود والترو اندنج مع بعض. Unlimited blade wax. Interlude. Unlimited blade works. It's daybreak. The knight in red is leaning against the pillar and staring at his own arm. He puts strength into his fingertips and clenches his fist. Only about half of his sensations are left. Even though he's a heroic spirit, he cannot maintain his existence without a master that helps him stay in this world. Arsha is existing because of his special ability that his class holds, but that is nearing its limit. The Knight in Red's remaining strength is less than a tenth of his original powers. Yeah, عشر بس. His fist lacks strength and he should slowly start fading if he lets his guard down. But there is no problem. Even if he only has a tenth of his powers remaining, it's enough to finish Shiremiya off. Considering the difference in their abilities, this is not even a handicap. Therefore, it will end once they fight. His one and only objective will be accomplished there. That is right. He has been waiting for this moment. He has endured endless repetition hoping for this chance. He could only wait for a miracle that would not usually be able to occur, with a possibility close to zero. And his wish is granted. No, it's about to be granted. He does not care about what awaits him afterwards. He will kill his own self with his own hands. That wish, which doesn't have enough of a future to be hope, is what kept him going after he wore out.
長かったのか、それとも刹那に過ぎなかったのか。
He's an existence that disappears after each summoning to start with. His memory does not remain intact whether he repeats the cycle 100 times or 1,000 times. It only stays in his body as knowledge. Heroic spirits know about other heroic spirits because they have accumulated knowledge. It's just like a book. Every time they're summoned, the book with its history is sent to its home. They remain in the house and read the books that are sent. What is troubling is that the one at the house does not know when those books are sent. The past or future does not matter. All the books are already in his room. His only way of measuring time is to read records of his cleaning that he will carry out. It makes no difference whether it's an eternity or an instant. An eternity is an instant and an instant is an eternity. Therefore, he does not know how rare this miracle is. He doesn't know whether it was the first time or 1,000th time that he was summoned since he gained this hope. All he has is this unordered knowledge. The future, past and present are all things that heroic spirits don't have.
来客か。邪魔は入らんというから来てやったのだがな。
The knight in red suddenly gets up. Did his ear hear an intruder? Footsteps echo through the castle that should be silent.
へえ、驚きだね、遠坂。半信半疑だったけど、本当にこんなところにいたんだ。
الحسالة وصل. الزبالة.
ايه.
أبو طيز معيالة.
اوه.
The voice echoes. The boy who entered rudely is Mato Shinji. A piece of trash.
هذا حي هذا
物騒な真似はなしだぜ
حي.
あーちゃ。
ما ده فعلا روت بيطول فيه قوي. أكتر روت بيطول فيه.
こっちはお前に用はないんだ。お前だって遠坂に用はないんだろ。ならここで殺し合うことはないんじゃない？
Shinjimaru walks over with light steps. He is looking at Ren Tosaka, who is tied up in a chair. The girl doesn't say anything and stares at the intruder while being tied up. This must make him pleased. Macho Shinji licks his lips in satisfaction and walks to the girl.
あ
Shinjimaru glances in annoyance at the knight who is staring down at him in silence.
何やるっていうの本気かよ。お前なんて相手になるわけないじゃんか。
Shinjimaru smiles and returns to the entrance. There stands the golden-haired boy, the eighth servant, Gilgamesh. He himself is a disaster. The golden servant looks at the knight with cool eyes. But within them, the red eyes, distorted from his smile, only have the intention to murder the enemy in front of him. The knight in red is still silent. It makes no difference whether Shinjimaru appears or the strongest servant in front of him is ready to attack him. The knight calmly stares at the uninvited enemies.
ブルってるんだろアーチャー。いいんだぜ、別に恥じゃない。あいつはバーサーカーだって難なく始末したサーバントなんだからさ。お前がおじけつくのも当然。
リンが欲しいのか、マトシンジ。
え？ああ、当然じゃないか。そうでもなけりゃこんな城には近寄らないよ。
そうか。ならば事が済むまで待て。エミやシロを始末した後ならばくれてやる。それまであれは私のものだ。それが聞けぬとあれば仕方がない。不本意だがここで死ぬことになるぞ、ギルガメッシュ。
The knight in red declares, still staring at the golden servant.
愉快だな、道化。
Was that statement itself good enough reason for the man to kill Archer? The golden servant identifies the knight in red in front of him as a target he must kill.
待てギルガメッシュ、早まるなよ。ことはスマートに行こう。いいじゃん、くれるってんだからもらっておこう。どうせアーチャーはマスターがいないんだ。何度も裏切ったこいつと契約するマスターなんていないんだしさ。ほっとけば消えるんだろ。遠坂はその後でもらえばいい。
Shinjimaru stares at the red knight, still smiling. His eyes look as if he's enjoying the fate of one who is about to disappear soon.
賢明だな、マトシンジ。その判断は的確だ。君はある意味誰よりもマスターにふさわしい。
なんだ、あんた見どころあるじゃん。もったいない。それなら僕のところに来てれば契約してやったのに。
Stepping away from the knight in red, Shinjimaru claps his hands happily.
けど悪いね。もう他のサーバントなんていらないんだ。残念だけどさ、おとなしく消えちゃってよ、あんた。
言われるまでもない。それで結局どうするのだ。ここで私と戦うか、私が消え去るのを待つのか。
ああ、待ってやるよ。エミヤを始末するまで遠坂は僕たちが守ってやろうじゃないか。けどそうだな。となるとあれはもう僕のだろう。なら何をしても構わないと思わない？
He looks at the knight in red and Ren Tosaka with snake-like eyes. Those swords test the loyalty of the knight in red. To that,
傷をつけるなというのがエミやシロとの契約だが、それは夜明けとともに消える。刻限が来たのならあとは好きにするがいい。
the knight in red answers in an emotionless voice. لا مش هسمعك وانت بتضحك رز فيه.
聞いたかよ遠坂。お前のサーバントマスターを売っ払うってさ。
عاش فترة طويلة.
عاش زيادة عن اللزوم. وعشان كده مع انه Unlimited Blade Works اكتر روت كول، يعتبر كول يعني بالنسبة لشيرو، هو اكتر روت ما بحبوش. واحد من اهم الاسباب، اول حاجة ان إيليا بتموت بدري من غير ما نتعرف على اي حاجة عنها. تاني حاجة ان الكائن الحصالة ده بيفضل عايش كتير اوي زيادة عن اللزوم. الكائن ده المفروض يموت من شابتر 2 مثلا، حتى شابتر 1 كتير عليه، يعني احنا كده بنتكرم ان احنا نسيبه يكمل شابتر 1 بسلام اصلا. Sneering laughter echoes through the dingy room. The Red Knight leaves the room as if he has no interest. He passes by Gilgamesh. He goes into the hallway, ignoring the red eyes that look at him amused. At that moment,
Faker.
the King of Years says, mocking him, "Interlude out."
Yeah? والله ما الله
The same.
بفيلم بنا أحسن.
Dawn approaches. Our conversation dies off as we head deeper into the woods. The woods, and silence weighs heavily. Once I'm through the forest, I, Amy Shear, will settle the score with that man. ليه بتقول اسمك كامل في دماغك يعني؟ ليه محتاج تقول اسمك كامل في دماغك وانت بتكلم نفسك؟ I have no chance of victory. My defeat is certain. I am well aware that I'll be slaughtered as soon as we cross swords. I don't feel fear, but not out of defiance or determination. I might die, but he's long dead. The moment I realized this, I knew that I was no different. There's no longer any point in feeling gloomy about my own death. I pass the castle gate. Saber's expression is dark. She knows that sort of fight awaits me. Well, what sort of fight awaits me? She's troubled by me and by him. No matter who lives or falls, the same man will disappear. She's in anguish, unsure whether she should put a stop to this absurd duel. She glances skyward, her eyes look severe or perhaps angry that such a vain battle must be fought. Truly Bistkir. We come to a great ruined hall. Morning mists shroud the ground to be our mutual resting place.
来たか。随分と遅い到着だな、エミヤシロ。
Shut the fuck up, other Imyashiru. His icy voice rings through the air. Its familiar baritone comes to the second story. The man stands there atop crumbling stairs that culminate in a sunlit plateau. His crimson cloak seems distant and hazy. But I can see him. I can make out every exact detail of my enemy. We share the same eagle eyes, after all. He's a servant assigned to the role of Archer. He's a bowman, yet not a bowman, a contradictory person who possesses a vast number of noble phantasms and hurls them out unsparingly. All of his noble phantasms are a replica, and his personal noble phantasm is the ability to create infinite swords. I was the only one who failed to realize his identity. Heroic spirits are summoned from all eras. If the past doesn't contain an appropriate hero, then one might be born in the future.
ようやく気づいた。あのペンダントが2つあるはずがない。あれはもともと。
そうだ。あれは命を救われたお前が生涯持ち続けたもの。この世に2つとない。遠坂凛の父の形見だ。
It's paradox for two of them to exist. If Shiremi held on to the bandit for the rest of his life, then...
英霊の召喚には必ず触媒が必要となる。お前がセイバーを召喚したように、召喚者と英霊にはつながりがなくてはならない。遠坂凛には英霊を呼び出すための触媒がなかった。故に、彼女は呼び出したサーバントに何の縁もないと思い込んだ。だが、偶然で呼び出される英霊などいない。召喚者と英霊には必ず物質的な縁が必要となる。
If that's true, then there's only one explanation. Tosaka didn't have anything to connect herself to Arthur, but...
召喚者ではなく、呼び出された英霊そのものが召喚者に縁のあるものを持っていた場合のみだ。
يا ابني خلاص شرحت الموضوع 3 مرات او معلش مرتين، مش لازم نقعد نشرحها 600 مرة. الناس يا حبيبي والله الناس بتفهم، مش لازم تشرح لهم اكتر من مرة. That tiny gem of which there's only one in the world. Someone saved my life and I never found out who, but I kept the pendant with me, assuming it must have belonged to my savior. That's the answer. He has Tosaka's pendant, which makes him the heroic spirit Amiya, my future self. The man standing before me perfected Shiremiya's incomplete abilities and achieved my ideals. The red-clad knight looks down at me from the top of the stairs. There is no sign of anyone else around. Only he and I stand here in this hall.
アーチャー、遠坂はどうした？
あの小娘なら城のどこかに置いてきたが、気に病むのなら急げ。お前が来るのが遅いのでな、先に来た的を信じにくれてやったところだ。
だと。
お前との約束は守っている。俺は手出しはせん。他の人間が彼女に何をしようが、俺には関わりのないことだ。まあ、結果は見えているがな。的真司は遠坂凛に情欲と敵害を抱いている。あれに凛を預ければどうなるかは考えるまでもない。凛に挑発された小僧は我慢できずに口火を切り、今頃は妙なことになっているかもしれんぞ。
My blood boils. من غير ما اقراها، من غير ما تطلع وانا عارف انه هيقول دلوقتي حالا my blood boils يا بسام. How can he just talk about her like that?
ああ、焦るな坊主。あのお嬢ちゃんなら俺に任せろ。
Lancer being the bro. The goat. The fucking goat.
何？すぐに助け出してやる。
My man.
ランサ
マスターからの命令だな。元から俺はあのお嬢ちゃんを死なせないために協力したわけだ。いや、これが思いのほか居心地よくてな。昨日のは悪くなかった。自分の仕事を気に入れるっていうのは俺にとっては珍しい。
بتقول ايه يا بسام؟
انت صرت يا شيرو خلاص.
لا لا مش كده، اصل زهقت منه، عرفت خلاص اول لما بيتضايق بيقول لي my blood boils. خلاص كنت عارف على طول اول لما ده هيقول له كده، ده هيقوم الشاشه هتحمر ويقوم قايل لك my blood boils. الشاشه احمرت قلت على طول في دماغي my blood boils. With the flippant remark, Lancer ignores Archer and heads for the western terrace.
ー、ランサー。
気にするな。これはあくまで俺の趣味だ。ま、今までいけすかねえ命令ばっかりだったからな。この命令は最後まで守り抜く。そっちはそっちで自分の面倒だけ見てやがれ。
ああ、遠坂を頼む。
Lancer departs with an eye. Aisa! He stops and turns as if remembering something.
おい、何してんだセイバー。お前も来るんだよ。
Saber looks pained.
いいえ、私はここに残ります、ランサー。
Her response isn't what you'd expect from a servant.
本気か？今のマスターはお嬢ちゃんだろ？サーバントが守るべきはマスターだけのはずだが。
分かっています。ですが、それでも私はここに残りたい。私はこの戦いを見守らなければ。
そうかよ。なら好きにしな。
Lancer disappears. The blue-clad spearman easily leaps to the second story terrace and disappears down the hallway without another glance. Archer doesn't make any move to stop him. Tosaka seems to have outlived her usefulness to him. يا اسطى في حاجة فشيخة في أرشر بصراحة، في الرايتنج بتاعه. مش هو حسالة بالنسبة لي، بس الرايتنج بتاعه فشيخ. انت فاهم هو ليه اتكلم الكلام القذر ده على رين ولا لا؟
لا ما فاهم.
بالقصد، كل حاجة عملها بالقصد. مش بيتكلم الكلام القذر ده عشان هو مش مهتم، هو بيتكلم الكلام القذر ده عشان يفهمه فيتحركوا، حد يتحرك غير شيرو يروح يلحق رين بسرعة. بنفس الطريقة هو كان في أقل من عشر قوته مستحيل كان يحارب جلجامش. فاحسن طريقة ان هو يعني يتفادى ان هو تروح في داهية، ان هو يعمل نفسه كده مش مهتم بالموضوع ولا فارق معاه. لان جلجامش مهزأ اصلا، مجرد انه بس يركز كده انه في اي اهتمام عنده هيقتله بكل الطرق، وبعدين يروح يقتل رين على الفاضي، فاهم؟
يس.
فكل حاجة عملها كده، نفس الحركة اللي عملها في كاستر برضه. هو راح مع كاستر مخصوص عشان يخلص المانا بتاعت كاستر، عشان يستهلك المانا بتاعت كاستر ويستعمل النوبل فانتازي بتاعته دي، ومستهلك مانا من كاستر. فلما يستهلك مانا من كاستر للحظة واحدة تكون كاستر أضعف، فتعرف رين تضربها. الرايتنج بتاعه فشيخ، وإن كان هو الكاركتر بتاعه مش عاجبني طبعا. فالحتة دي برضو نفس الموضوع، قال لك الجملة دي وبسرعة ومش عارف ايه والا هتتقطع. طبعا هو مش مهتم ولا حاجة، هو ده كله تمثيل. بس هو دي احسن طريقة ان هو يخلي حد بوم يجري. هو ركز اوريدي، فهم لانسر بيعمل ايه. هو من الاخر يعني بصراحة كسيرفنت، حتى يمكن مش بس كسيرفنت، اعتقد ككاركتر يعني ارشر كان اذكى واحد في الوور دي، في الروت ده. هو اذكى واحد في الوور كلها، اذكى شخصيه في البتاع. كل حاجه عمل، قاعد يخطط لكل حاجه من البدايه للنهايه، وكل ما حاجه تيجي تبوظ خطته بيخطط بطريقه تانية برضه. I step forward through the rubble. I'm headed for the middle of the hole at the bottom of the stairs. Saber stays where she is. She intends to watch us fight and keeps her emotions in check.
手出しはしないか。それはありがたい。ここまで来てセイバーに邪魔をされるようでは、リンと契約を切った意味がないからな。
I can hear her hesitate. She inhales slightly and answers the man standing at the top of the stairs.
ええ、私は手出しをしません。何があろうと、あなたとシロの戦いの邪魔はしない。
それは結構。ならば安心して小僧を始末できるというものだ。
はい。ですが、その代わりに一つだけ答えてほしい。アーチャー、なぜあなたはシロを殺そうというのです？
なぜも何もないだろう。そいつが俺を認められないように、俺もそいつを認められないだけだよ。
そんなはずはない。あなたはシロだ。エミやシロという人物の理想、英雄となった姿があなたではないのですか？ならどうしてこんな自分を殺すような真似をするのです？
なぜそう思う？未熟だった頃のエミヤシロとエミヤと呼ばれる英雄となった俺は別の存在だ。そうでなければ同時に存在などできないが。
それはあなたがサーバントになったからでしょ。時間軸にとらわれない守護者になったのなら、自身が生きた時代に呼ばれることもあると聞きます。あなたはシローだ。シローがずっと思い描いて、その努力が叶った姿があなたのはずだ。なのに、どうして？
Why did you turn out so differently? I can hear her anguished question even if she doesn't say the words out loud. He starts down the stairs without answering. He can't answer. If he could, then we wouldn't be here trying to settle things by force.
アーチャー。
Saber challenges him without actually stepping forward.
いいんだセイバー。いいから下がっていてくれ。
With one hand, I gesture to her to move back to the entrance.
ですが、シロー。
気持ちは嬉しい。けど、話しても無駄だ。あいつは初めから俺を殺すことだけが目的だったんだから。
Saber bites her lip in distress. She looks at me and then at Tarsha as he descends the stairs to the hole.
なぜなのです、アーチャー。私にはわからない。守護者とは死後、英霊となって人間を守るものと聞いた。その英霊がなぜ自分自身を殺そうなどと考えるのか。
守護者だと。
Asher stops and looks down at Saber emotionlessly. The words seem to have struck a nerve with him.
違うよセイバー。守護者は人間を守るものではない。あれはただの掃除屋だ。俺が望んでいた英雄などとは断じてない。
His voice changes. Hatred and scorn tinge his dispassionate tone.
アーチャー。
俺は確かに英雄になった。エミヤシロという男が望んでいたように 正義の味方になったんだ。
A hero of justice, someone who always does the right thing and doesn't let anyone get hurt. The kind of person Shiremiya has always wanted to be, who doesn't retreat from any disaster and saves everyone equally. Is he saying that he achieved that ideal?
あーちゃ。
ああ、確かにいくらかの人間を救ってきたさ。自分にできる範囲で多くの理想を叶えてきたし、世界の危機とやらを救ったこともあったよ。英雄と遠い昔から憧れていた地位にさえついにはたどり着いたこともある。
英雄にたどり着いたなら、シローは報われたのですね。少なくともここにいるあなたはエミやシローの理想を叶えられたのでしょう。ならあなたには悔いなどないはずだ。シローはちゃんとその理想を叶えたのだから。
Her verbal challenge doesn't have much force behind it. She already knows. She's aware that her words are merely wishful thinking.
理想を叶えたか。確かに俺は理想通りの正義の味方とやらになったさ。だがその果てに得たものは後悔だけだった。残ったものは死だけだったからな。殺して殺して殺し尽くした己の理想を貫くために、多く無関係な人間の命などどうでもよくなるくらい殺して殺した人間の数千倍の人々を救ったよ。
Saber stares up at Arthur in shock. أيوه. Almost as if she's looking into a mirror. ايش اللي معلق عندك؟ I mean it. واقف ولا ايش؟ مش فاهم يعني.
واقف ايه.
طيب قفل وافتحه وسوي اي شيء.
دخل عندي دقيقتين حاليا.
ابو مشواره بس دقيقتين. Saber stares up at Arthur in shock, almost as if she's looking into a mirror, which is technically true. هو definitely mirror بصراحة يعني. هما فعلا mirror زي بعض بالظبط. It's literally the same path with literally the same end. Except one of them is very cool and the other is a little bitch.
So. そんなことを何度繰り返したかわからないんだ。セイバー。 俺は求められれば何度でも戦ったし、争いがあると知れば死をとして戦った。何度も何度も、思い出せないほど何度もだ。だって仕方がないだろう。何を救おうと救われない人間というものは出てきてしまう。何度戦いを終わらせようと新しい戦いは生み出される。そんなものがある限り、 正義の味方っていうのはあり続けるしかないんだから。
I wonder who his lectures are directed at. The knight describes his boss as he slowly descends the stairs.
だから殺した。
No. طيب جرب تقفل الراوتر وافتحه مرة ثانية. That is why I killed.
一人を救うために 何十という人間の願いを踏みにじってきた。踏みにじった相手を救うためにより多くの人間をないがしろにした。何十という人間の救いを殺して目に見えるものだけの救いを生かしてより多くの願いを殺してきた。今度こそ終わりだと、今度こそ誰も悲しまないだろうとつまらない意地を張り続けた。 終わることなどなかった。生きている限り争いはどこに行っても目についた。キリがなかった。何も争いのない世界なんてものを夢見ていたわけじゃない。ただ俺はせめて自分が知りうる限りの世界では誰にも涙してほしくなかっただけなのだ。
Without a doubt. That was my very own dream.
一人を救えば そこから視野は広がってしまうんだ。1人の次は10人、10人の次は100人、100人の次は、さて何人だったか。そこでようやく悟ったよ。エミヤシロウという男が抱いていたものは都合のいい理想論だったのだと。
それはなぜ？
سام انت هنا لسه معايا ولا هتقفل النت؟
لا معك الموضوع شغال ان شاء الله.
分かりきったことを聞くな、セイバー。君ならば何度も経験したことだろう。全ての人間を救うことはできない。国を救うためにほんの少しの人間を見殺しにするなんていうのは日常茶飯事だっただろう。
True. فعلا هي الوحيدة اللي اضطرت تتعرض للموضوع ده بالظبط. The Red Knight's War stunned Saber into silence, stabbing her of the well to disagree. They must reflect Saber's inner darkness too.
そう、席は限られている。幸福という椅子は常に全体の数より少なめでしか用意され
بعدين
ない。
بقى الدنيا باردة قوي. احنا باردين فشخ. ما ايه يا حاجة دفاية، ما تدفي احسن شوية. دفي زي الناس بقى، انا بريت.
その場にいる全員を救うことなどできないから結局誰かが犠牲になる。それを被害を最小限に抑えるためにいずれこぼれる人間を速やかに1秒でも早くこの手で切り落とした。それが英雄とその男が理想と信じる正義の味方の取るべき行動だ。
I wish for no one to be sad. An ideal to save as many people as possible. If someone holds both of these ideals, then there's only one path to take once that they contradict each other. A hero of justice can only save the people he decided to save. If trying to save everyone means saving nobody, then saving as many people as you can with the minimum sacrifice is the right choice.
多くの人間を救うというのが正義の味方だろ。だから殺した。誰も死なさないようにと願ったまま大勢のために一人には死んでもらった。誰も悲しまないようにと口にして、その陰で何人かの人間には絶望を抱かせた。そのうちそれにも慣れてきてね。理想を守るために理想に反し続けた。自分が助けようとした人間しか救わず、敵対した者は速やかに皆殺しにした。犠牲になる誰かを容認することでかつての理想を守り続けた。それがこの俺、英雄エミヤの正体だ。そら、そんな男は今のうちに死んだ方が世のためと思わないか？
He's right. A superhero can only save the people he's decided to save. However, who ended up betraying those wars in the end?
それは嘘です。たとえそうなったとしても、あなたならばその誰かを自分にして理想を追い続けたのではないですか。
Archer stops again. For just an instant, a pained frown clouds his face.
あなたは理想に反したのではない。守ったはずの理想に裏切られ、道を見失っただけではないのですか。そうでなければ、こんな自分を殺すことで罪を償おうなどとは思わない。
His sardonic grin disappears. Archer fixes Saber with a cold glare and breaks into uproarious laughter, as if she just said something hilarious.
いや、これは傑作だ。俺が自分の罪を償う。バカなことを言うなよ、セイバー。償うべき罪などないし、他の誰にもそんな無責任なものを押し付けた覚えはない。
The Red Knight remains deadly calm. Only his low chuckle reverberates through the hole.
ああ、そうだったよ、セイバー。確かに俺は何度も裏切られ、欺かれた。救ったはずの男に罪をかぶせられたこともある。死ぬ思いで争いを収めてみれば、争いの張本人だと押し付けられて、最後には公主代だ。そうだ、俺に罪があるというのなら、その時点で償っているだろう。
嘘だ、アーチャー。あなたの最後は。
まあそういうことだ。だがそんなことはどうでもよかった。初めから干渉してほしかったわけじゃない。英雄などともてはやされる気もなかった。俺はただ誰もが幸福だという結果だけが欲しかっただけだ。だがそれが叶えられたことはない。生前もその死後も。
His laughter is gone. Now his words are tinged only with hatred.
守護者とは霊長の存命のみを優先する無職の力だ。力は高きところにありて、人の世が滅亡する可能性が生じれば世に下る。それがただの奴隷であることは知っていた。死後己が存在を守護者に預けた者は輪廻の枠から外れ無と同意になるのだ。それでも誰かを救えるのならそれでいい。かつてのエミヤシロはその誓いを守れなかった。なら守護者となって人間の滅亡とやらを食い止める一端になるのならそれでいいと思ったが、実際は違う。守護者は人など救わない。守護者がすることはただの掃除だ。すでに起きてしまったこと、作られてしまった人間の業をその力で無にするだけの存在だった。それは人を救うのではなく、世界に害を与えるであろう人々を善悪の区別なくなくすだった。絶望に嘆く人々を救うのではなく、絶望と無関係に生を謳歌する部外者を救うために、絶望する人々を排除するだけの殺戮者。馬鹿げた話だ。それが今までの俺と何が違う。
It's not different at all. In fact, it only created more despair. He couldn't make his dream come true on his own, so he devoted himself to a greater power, and he still ended up in the same place. He thought that a higher power might be able to grant his wish, but it was just a larger version of what he'd already been doing.
アーチャー、あなたはずっとそんなことを。
それも慣れたよ。人間は繰り返す。どんな時代でも強者が弱者を奪い尽くすのだ。そしてそれが最も効率のいい繁栄だと思い知らされた。ああ、何度も見てきた。意味のない殺戮も意味のない平等も意味のない幸福も俺自身が拒んでも見せられた。守護者となった俺にはもはや自分の意志などない。ただ人間の意志によって生み出され、人間が作ってしまった罪の後始末をさせられるだけだったからな。
That's the conclusion I arrived at. An existence that erases the despair other humans make. Guardians don't save anyone, they just erase the existence of people who aren't saved. Over and over, whenever they see humans do something that goes their own destruction, they show up and burn it all. A man became a hero thinking he could save as many people as possible, but in the end, that wish never came true.
そうだ。それは違う。俺が望んだものはそんなことではなかった。俺はそんなもののために守護者になどなったのではない。
أخيراً تعصب فعلا. The rage in his voice is probably directed at himself. The man that stands before us is a worn-down wreck. The hero Emiya who was perpetually shown the ugliness of the people he wanted to save. In the end, he felt hatred. Hatred at his past self for valuing humans who just kept taking from each other.
俺は人間の後始末など真っ平だ。だが守護者となった以上この輪から抜け出す術はない。 ただ一つの例外を除いて。
His cold eyes gleam with unshakable bloodlust. They aren't looking at Saber. Arsha's sole objective is to erase himself. However, ever since he died, he can't erase the original Ymir that exists in a place outside of the time axis. It's impossible to erase someone who became a guardian. Guardians are of the void. There's no point in killing someone who doesn't exist in this world, on this world's axis. However, if it were possible, there would only be one way. If he were to kill himself before he became a hero, then that hero would never be born. Therefore,
シロをここで殺すというのですか。他でもない。あなた自身の手によって。
そうだ。その機会だけを待ち続けた。果てしなくゼロに近い確率だ。だが、それにかけた。そう思わなければ自身を許容できない。
それは無駄です、アーチャー。あなたはすでに守護者として存在しているのでしょう。ならもう遅い。今になって英雄となる前のエミやシロを消滅させたところで、あなた自身は消えはしない。
そうかもしれん。だが可能性のない話ではあるな。過去の改ざんだけでは通じないだろうが、それが自身の手によるものならば矛盾は大きくなる。歪みが大きければ、あるいはここでエミヤという英雄は消滅する。それにな、セイバー、俺はこの時だけを待って守護者を続けてきたのだ。今さら結果など求めていない。これはただの八つ当たりだ。くだらぬ理想の果てに道化となり果てるエミヤシロという小僧へのな。
And then the Red Knight steps into the same hall that I'm in. Only he and I stand amid the rubble. No obstacles separate us. Our reasons for being here are simple. He wants to kill me and I can't stand him, so I'm going to kick his ass. I love you, Emiya Shiro. بصراحة بحب شيرو فشخ. مين كاركتر فشيخ يا اسطى. فشيخ يعني very well written character يعني. بالفلوز البضينة بتاعته، بغتاته في حاجاته، بعناده الشديد. عنيد فشخ، بني آدم عنيد فشخ، بعناده الشديد جدا، بتفاهته، بكمية الشربطة الغير عادية اللي جواه، والهورنينس unparalleled levels of horniness اللي موجودة جواه. فشيخ فعلا، كاركتر فشيخ بصراحة، يتحب يعني. I step into the center of the hall. A few more steps and there will be no going back. Before that...
アーチャー、お前、後悔してるのか?
There's one question I need to ask him.
無論だ。俺、いや、お前は正義の味方になどなるべきではなかった。
He spits the words out like a venom. That's the last push I need.
そうか。それじゃあ、やっぱり俺たちは別人だ。
何？
俺は後悔なんてしないぞ。どんなことになったって後悔だけはしない。
وعشان كده هو شيرو الفشيخ بينما انت التراش يالا.
だから絶対にお前のことも認めない。お前が俺の理想だって言うなら、そんな間違った理想は俺自身の手で叩き出す。
That's how I've lived. I've come this far by believing that it was right. It probably is mostly pride, like he said. I've lost more than I've gained, but still, Shiro Emiya won't back down, not even for what he's lost. I advance. A circuit in the back of my mind has already begun to sketch a blueprint.
その考えがそもそもの元凶なのだ。お前もいずれ俺に追いつく時が来る。
来ない。そんなもん絶対に来るもんか。
Like hell I will. اديله يا شيرو، اديله في بقه.
はあ、それはつまりその前にここで俺に殺されるということか。
I step towards my enemy. We're close enough to cross swords now. Neither of us are armed. We're going to go at it barehanded. Sure, Emiya isn't a swordsman. We make swords, so...
分かっているようだな。俺と戦うということは、剣聖を競い合うということだと。
His hands grip a pair of swords. That night, that simple pair of blades that took my breath away at Ryudo Temple. They were rare masterworks forged by a famous smith at the cost of his wife's life.
トレス。
I initiate my prepared blueprint and replicate the swords just by visualizing them. They are so flawed. My swords, which I thought were perfect, are terribly vague compared to his. My inferior imagination has produced a degraded delusion. Most likely, they'll shatter against his swords. I take another step forward. A deliberate, firm step. Rubble crumbles beneath my feet. The sound seems to declare the start of the duel.
俺の剣聖についてこれるか。わずかでも精度を落とせば、それがお前の死に際になろう。
Our swords confront each other, an identical pair of weapons, four blades overlap, as if attracted by magnetic force, and clash. انترلود ده وقت انترلود يا ناسو. ده وقت انترلود يا ناسو. بذمة امك يا ناسو ده وقت انترلود. Okay. He easily tracks his target down. Lancer may seem as if he specializes in combat, but he's actually quite skilled at magecraft. He learned to master more than just Gabolg in that arcane fortress called the Land of Shadows. Yasta, the Land of Shadows. Skahak Skadi, Friendship of the Thighs, Yasta. He's a hero because he learned the 18 primordial runes. Of course, he rarely flaunts his magical skills because he prefers to fight with a spear rather than magecraft. Today is one of those rare occasions.
よし、当たりか。
He drops something to which had been running on the ground. A rock inscribed with the Birkano rune returns to being a mundane pebble. Its task complete.
誰だお前。
A boy he hasn't seen before stands up in Bannock. The shrill voice sounds familiar. Lancer retracts the thought and realizes who this is.
ライダーのマスターじゃねえか。なんだ、とっくの昔にくたばったもんと。
He breaks off. Ren Tosaka's behind the boy. She's tied to the chair. That's fine. She's being held captive, so that makes sense. But the several details stand out. First, her hair is stepped over. Since Ren Tosaka's tied to the chair, she's on the ground too. There's sand in her long black hair and something red around her mouth. She probably cut her lip. It's light, but one can make out the bruising in her lips.
お前、ランサーか。なんだよ。誰に断ってここに来たんだ。話が違うぞ。お前は。
Dilo a Lancer. A casual fist plants itself in Shinji Mato's cheek. Lancer's trivial backhand sends the boy crashing into the wall.
ああ、悪いなガキ。口より先に手が出ちまった。
He looks unconscious but not dead. Granted, if Ren Tosaka's face had been a little paler and her clothes more disheveled, it wouldn't have ended with just a knockout. He would have paid a heavy price. انت فاهم يا بسام ولا لا؟ بسام؟ لا بقول لك انت فاهم الجملة دي اللي في دماغ لانسر ولا لا؟
لا مش فاهم بس حال الحمى قاعد.
الحيوان ده حاول يتحرش برن. من الاخر يعني لانسر ما قتلوش، بس بيقول لك لانسر لو كان في علامات زياده، هدومها متقطعه اكتر سيكه، في شويه بروزز زي الناس جامد عليها، الموضوع ما كانش هيبقى مجرد بوكس.
فهمت.
كان هينيكوا من الاخر يعني. لو فعلا لحق يغتصبها ولا حاجه، ولا يتحرش بيها زي الناس فعلا، يعمل حاجه زياده فعلا، تكه بس زياده، كان هينيكوا بجد، هيقلع وينيكوا هنا دلوقتي حالا. To be clear, Lancer doesn't care about the treatment of prisoners, but he doesn't like it when someone else steals his prey. Of course, enemies he kills and women he's fond of both count as his prey. Rinto's commander is allowed from her bound position. Her voice sounds sleepy as if she was unconscious. Lancer approaches her with an out-of-place greeting.
なんでここアインツベルンの城よ。
承知している。ああ、いいから動くな。今その手枷を切ってやる。その後は好きにしろ。広間に行ってバカどもの喧嘩を止めるなり、裏口から帰るのも自由だ。
His crimson spear materializes in a whirl of air.
それは助かるけど。ランサー、後ろ。
Rin's warning makes him turn. Someone even he didn't expect stands there. صوت الخطوات. In the corner of the room, with firm footsteps, a man walks past where Shinji Mato pancaked into a wall. pancaked into a wall. حلوة pancaked into a wall دي.
そこまでだランサー。協力しろとは言ったが、深入りしろとは言わなかったぞ。
Kotomini Kiri, who they thought Gaster killed. Ren yelps in surprise. Yep.
كيري يا يموت.
بضيل كان بضيل لازم يجلس متكيلك في نهاية لازم يجلس متكيلك لين نهاية كل روت.
وشوف
رغبته الأساسية في الحياة بس إنه يروح لشيرو يقول له يو روكو بوشون كيمينو نيغايو يو يا كوكانون. Lancer glares suspiciously at the priest.
おい、いつから終始買いしやがったんだお前。俺のマスターは表には出てこないのが心情だったんじゃなかったか。
اوف 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 اعطاله بيرن عنيف قال له انت متى تعلمت دين جديد ابن الحلال. كنت محسب ان الماستر حقي ما يؤمن بانه يتقدم زي الناس ويوري وجهه. اعطاله بيرن محترم يا اخي. انا يعجبني كميه الناس اللي تعرف تسوي بيرنات تشيخه في النوفل هذا.
変えるような終始などない。そういうお前こそ命令違反だぞランサー。アーチャーの始末を命じたはずだが損じたか。
تفضل. ممكن اخذ انا كمان بريك تايم. فيري سمول بريك تايم. بريك تايم. بريك تايم. بريك 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 عشان القطرة بس. بريك بريك بريك. سام مش ناوي ترجع ولا ايه؟ يا اسطى بقالنا هنا كتير، احنا كده عملنا يوروكوبو كتير قوي. تو ماتش يوروكوبو، هيجيلنا حساسية من كتر اليوروكوبو كده. ريجوس يا سام يا سام بس يا بسام انا طولنا قوي. شيت انا كده هضطر اكمل. طيب يا حاج يا اسطى يا اسطى. اوكي I guess we're back then. هضطر اكمل غصب عني بسببك يا بسام.
あれは放っといても自滅する。その前にやり残した仕事を片付けに来たんだが、お前がここにいるということは、そこのガキはお前の差し金か？
人聞きが悪いな。彼とは協力関係だ。聖杯を手に入れるため共に認め合った仲だ。
And Yamato groans underneath the rubble. The Brace doesn't even spare him a glance.
そう。あんたがそう簡単にくたばるわけないと思ったけど、しぶとく生きてるばかりか。裏でこそこそ手を回してたのね。悪趣味ここに極まるっていうか、人畜無害な神事を懐柔してどうしようっていうのよ、キレ
ン。なるほど。あれを人畜無害と取るか。この状況においてもお前は遠さが凛らしい。もう少し出来の悪い弟子ならば惜しむこともないのだが。
The priest chuckles. His expression is that of a priest blessing someone on their deathbed. A chill runs down Ren's back. She realizes what her fate is. The priest looks down at his apprentice of 10 years with a saintly smile.
待てよ、琴峰。その女はどうするつもりだ？教え子を助けたいと言ったお前の言葉は嘘だったのか？
Lancer stands between his master and the girl, glaring.
嘘なものか。彼女はここまで育てた大切な駒だ。10年にわたり欺き続けたのだから、そう簡単にリタイアされてはつまらん。故にお前に彼女の警護を任せたのだ。わずか2日ばかりの延命だったが、親心としては十分すぎるのではないかな。
The priest walks past Lancer to look at the girl sprawled on the floor. Ren glares up at her former mentor.
SS 神父、あんたならやりかねないと思ったけど、本当にマスターだったなんてね。監督役のくせにゲームに参加するなんて反則もいいところじゃない。
その割には落ち着いているな、リン。やはり気づいてはいたのか。
当然でしょ。自分のサーバントを見せなかったのもあんたを疑ってたからだもの。けどね、まさか初めっから騙されてるとは思わなかったわ。
初めから。
The priest frowns. The priest frowns. It seems that he wasn't expecting her to say that.
何よ、文句あるっていうの？キレ。
いや、初めからというが、それはどのあたりを指しているのかと思ってな。
His lips twist into a sneer. The priest gazes down with a look of true elation.
もっとキレ、あんた。
それは今回の聖杯戦争が始まってからか。それともお前が言う初めからとは前回の聖杯戦争を言っているのかね。
Then everything falls into place. Ren's face goes pale and she stares up at the man who mentored her for 10 years with an incredulous look.
そう、殺したのはあんただったんだ。
当然だろう。恩師であったからな。騙し討ちはたやすかった。
There is a grinding noise. The girl is staring at the ground, gritting her teeth in anguish.
行き場に迷え、クソ神父。断言してやるけど、あんたに居場所なんてないんだからね。地獄だってあんたみたいなのは願い下げで、煉獄だって他の連中がずぶとくなるってんでたらい回しよ。 あんたみたいな生き損ないはね、性に合わない天国あたりで針のむしろにくるまってろっての。
In a rage, she hurls abuse after abuse at him. Of course, the priest is unbothered by such trifles. Someone else is taken aback by the girl's son and fit, however. Shinji has never imagined that Ren could bear such an emotion even in his dreams.
琴峰、遠坂は僕がもらったんだって知ってるだろ。あいつに用があるのは僕だけだ。あんたはただ教会でこっちの守備を待ってればいいんだよ。
いや、用ならばある。彼女にはここで聖杯になってもらわねばならないからな。
Shinji doesn't understand what the priest is saying. Only the priest and the girl he intends to sacrifice do.
アーチャーとセーバーが消えればいい加減頃合いだ。いらぬ抵抗され、鮮度を落とされても困る。ことは迅速に済ませてしまおう。
The priest steps away from the girl. Only Lancer is in front of Ren now, armed with his spear.
琴峰、貴様。
そのゴミを始末しろ、ランサー。器に心臓はいらん。
Only Shinji reacts to those words. Ren just glares at the priest, gnashing at her teeth. The priest's smile already told her that she's going to die here. She knows that no help is coming and that no one would hear her even if she begged for help. انت اتأخرت أوي يا اسطى، اتأخرت أوي 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 يعني. إيه؟ أبو كلب لأنك لو أنت برو أنت عارف الباقي. الحقني طيب، الحقني أنا طولت مرة قعدت مستنيك يمكن ثلث ساعة ولا شيء ولا نص ساعة.
ايه اخر ترم ده مرعب.
حاول تلحقني أوي. سوي سكيب بأمتين وبعدين الحقني.
انا حقتك يعني 3 دقايق فرق. يا اخي كيري هذا عبارة عن سنيك.
كيري عبارة عن حثالة.
سنيك
هذا أستاذ يوروكوبو هذا.
التيميت يوروكوبو.
فين جديد؟
انا تريد انه كريك على كلامه.
لا يا راجل، تصدق ما كنتش عارف؟
لا كلامه من اول يعني بس يعني عادي.
ايش يقول كيري؟
No, I'm just wondering when exactly you mean by that beginning.
هنا.
يعني الانتنشن حقه.
يس.
يعني الريفليشن حقه الحين ايش كله.
اليوروكوبو حقه ده.
يس. اللي كان يقول هي بيقول الوقت. كده الوقت. الحين عرف هو اللي قتل ابوها.
ياب.
Too good for you. مستنيني؟
مستنيك ايوه.
يلا هاي.
أخيرا. So she absolutely refuses to snivel. It is the only form of resistance she can offer, and it represents her defiance. She won't give up until the very end. Help might still come at the last possible second, or a miracle might even occur, like something that destroys the entire room, leaving only her intact. She won't give up, but she knows what is and isn't possible. That's why she isn't very scared. There's just one thing she's worried about. It is awkward to imagine what face he'll make when he comes to save her after she's dead. Oh. She doesn't want to make him cry. Oh. It pisses her off thinking that she'll make him cry, and she doesn't know how to apologize for it. Girl, you're about to die and you care about your boy toy more than you care about the fact that you're dying. Of course she can't apologize if she's dead, but she still doesn't want to make him cry. So she apologizes now while she still can. It doesn't matter, but at least it makes her feel more at ease.
どうしたランサー。相手は少女。貫くのはたやすかろう。
The priest has no mercy, however.
お断りだ。今回のは従えねえ。 俺にやらせたかったらその霊樹でも使うんだな。
Lancer answers Ren's enemy with defiance.
Use a command spell.
The priest narrows his eyes. Master and servant glare daggers at each other, and the temperature in the room seems to drop.
そうか。仕方あるまい。自分でできることに霊樹を消費するわけにはいかんのだ。
I can do my
Brings
spell.
lifts his
Oh.
arm. He activates the command spells inscribed on it.
では命じよう。自害しろランサー。
Oh.
Lancer coughs blood, but the red droplets that dribble from his mouth pale in comparison to the torrent of blood gushing from his chest.
ことみね。貴様。
His murmur can't even be heard. Lancer has stabbed himself through the chest with his own spear, completely destroying his heart.
さらばだ。お前の役目はとうに終わっている。
The azure armored spearman collapses to the floor. مش مهتم، مش عايز اسمع صوتك. Pulling scarlet seeps into the floor. Lancer shows no sign of getting up. He has fallen by his spear, by his own spear on his master's orders. The priest moves. He approaches Ren with easygoing steps and takes a knee next to her. He reaches out with a hand to the bound girl's chest as if to pluck her heart out.
ことみね、約束が違うじゃないか。遠坂は僕にくれるって言っただろう。
يا اسطى في حاجه لحد دلوقتي مش فاهم ايه الغباء اللي هم عملوه ده. تحس ان هو فراغ عاطفي لمجرد ان جه البني ادم فاضي يعني، او ممكن عشان هو كمان كوتوميني فاضي معاه بيحبوا تعذيب البني ادمين على الفاضي. حرفيا اخدوا قلب ايليا اللي هو المفروض انه يبقى الهولي جريل، وبعدين جايين يحطوه في رين. طب ما ايه الفايده؟ ما هي ايليا كانت الهولي جريل جاهزه، ليه تروح تاخدها من حته وتحطها في حته تانية؟ ملهاش لازمه الهبل ده كله، الهبد ده كله.
عشان بس اوفيات بس تحصل.
ده تقريبا بس عشان يستمتعوا، جيل يستمتع بتعذيب ايليا من غير اي سبب لانه حساله. لحد دلوقتي مش عارف في ناس بتمص زبه على ايه. واسمه ايه الحيوان ده عشان يستمتع بان هو يخون رين بس يقتلها على الفاضي. ما تفهمش ايه الفراغ العاطفي ده. ما الجريل كانت موجوده جاهزه يا ابني ايليا. The priest glances at Shinji without answering.
ダメだ。遠坂はダメだ。そいつには借りがいっぱいあるんだから、生きていてくれなくちゃ困る。
Shinji whines, his back to Lancer's corpse. But his protests die off. The boy cowers away from the priest's severe gaze. The priest looks back down at the girl.
最後に何か言い残すことはあるか。遺言ぐらいは聞こう。
A simple concession.
こういう時の私が何を考えているか、あんたなら知ってるはずでしょ。
Rin answers him in her usual tone.
そうだな。最後まで諦めないのがお前だ、リン。同時に覆らない現実を瞬時に認めるのもお前の素晴らしさだ。いいぞ。その矛盾はなかなかに芳醇だ。
He doesn't hesitate. The priest roughly shoves his hand into the girl's chest over where her heart would be. She closes her eyes. There is a stabbing sound. A heart is pierced and blood spills out. The stone room becomes a tomb for yet another dead body. يا اسطى الرايتنج بتاع النوفل ده فشيخ. لو انا مش عارف ايه اللي هيحصل هنا كنت على طول هقول انه ما تقوليش انترلود اوت. لا مش انترلود اوت كويس. Ren is the one who gasps. The floor is drenched in blood. The dripping comes from somewhere high up.
لحن كنايسة.
Yes. From the floor, Ren looks up to see that it's coming from the priest's chest. Blood rises from his esophagus. The hole in his chest is obviously a fatal wound, and the thing stabbed in him from behind is none other than a cursed spear known specially for piercing. The priest feels no emotion. He simply looks at Lancer behind him, blood running from his mouth.
貴様、あいにくだったな、ことみね。この程度でくたばれるんならよ、俺は英雄になんぞなってねえ。
Lancer's sardonic tone clearly sounds like a bluff. There isn't a hint of vitality in it. Without a heart, his body is already pulls his spear out of Kotomini, who collapses lifelessly on the ground. نعم؟ لسه ما ماتش على فكرة. Collapses بس. Trained in the arcane and blessed by the divine he might have been, but he was still only human. There was no surviving a thrust to the heart from Lancer's cursed spear.
たく、結局こうなったか。
يا أخي لانسر رهيب.
مرة
محمود. أنا هلبد لانسر يبني.
Lancer leans his crumbling body against the wall, but it buys him a little time. After collapsing once, he's bound to disappear for good. Has lost his heart and his master. The only reason his body is somehow still holding together is because of his legendary tenacity. Guts, bitch!
いいじゃん、いいじゃん。
مش هسمعك وانت بتضحك. Shinji's cackling brings Rin back to her senses after watching the priest die.
何が聖杯は君のものだ。だよ。役立たずは最後まで役立たずだったな、神父さん。
Shinji kicks the priest's body. It doesn't move at all. Pleased with himself, the boy kicks the priest's face as hard as he can, making a dry, crunching noise. The sound and sensation delight Shinji more than he expected.
けど文句は言わないでおくよ。さっきのことは根に持ってないし、死んじゃったやつにあれこれ言うのはみっともないしさ。
Shinji snickers. Having lost all reservations, he closes in on Ren eagerly.
فعليا شنجي عبارة عن نفس الحشرات اللي في بيته ممكن لها شأن أكبر منه.
فعلا هي حسالة يعني زبالة كده كائن زبالة.
يعني الحشرات دي في البيت أحس لها دور أكبر.
يعني على قد ما كوتوميني مثلا كيري شرير أكتر منه، أقل حسالة منه برضه. على الأقل كيري يعني عنده يعني he has some guts يعني. على الأقل عنده بني آدم كده فشيخ شوية يعني، وإن كان حسالة. شينجي لأ، شينجي يعني زبالة بلا قيمة. أنت عارف يعني أقول لك زي إيه؟ ممكن تقول مثلا إن كوتوميني كيري زي بلاي ستيشن 4 مستعمل. هو زبالة بس له قيمة، له قيمة. شينجي عبارة عن إزازة مية مدفوف فيها واحد بعد كده عمل فيها بيبي ومكسورة من النص. ملهاش قيمة. هما الاتنين زبالة، بس في واحدة ليها قيمة ممكن تستفيد منها، وفي واحدة ملهاش قيمة خالص. هو ده شينجي. Shinji scrambles forward on all fours like a lizard looming over Ren.
けどよかったわ。お前にはいろいろ用があったんだ。ほんと困るよ、遠坂。簡単に死なれちゃあさ。ここまで我慢してきた僕に申し訳がないってもんだろ。さあ、こびてみろよ、遠坂。お前の態度次第で助けてやらないこともないぜ。それに聖杯はもう僕のものだ。ここで僕のものになるって言うならお前にだってわけ。
呆れた。本当にバカじゃないのあんた。
Tied up and on the ground, Ren scoffs like she's talking to a child.
なんだって。
まだ懲りないのかって言ってるのよ、シンジ。あんたは綺麗にいいように使われてただけでしょ。いい？あのサーバントは扱いきれるものじゃない。そんなこと近くにいるんだからあんただって分かってるでしょ。 ならいい加減目を覚まして、こんな殺し合いから手を引けっていうの。今ならまだ間に合うのはそっちの方よ。死にたくなかったら1秒でも早くここから逃げ出しなさい。
何を言い出すかと思えば結局は命乞いじゃんか。バカはお前だよ遠坂。目障りな琴峰は死んだんだぜ。今さら何が僕の邪魔をするって言うんだ。
Shinji reaches for Ren's body, but the second he does, he goes flying for the second time. Oi. Shinji slams into the wall
ガ
again.
キがそいつはてめえなんかが触れていい女じゃね
Lancer glares at Shinji and lazily walks over to Ren.
何、死に損ないの分際で僕に意見しようっていうの。
The spearman stops. He turns and faces Shinji.
おとなしく寝ていれば苦しまずに死ねたってのにな。さっきといい今度といい、お前楽には殺さないからな。ほら出番だぜギルガメッシュ。こいつカッコつけて死にたいんだってさ。
Shinji raises his voice. He calls for his servants, the mightiest slayer of heroes.
おい、なんだよ。何やってんだよあいつ。聞こえないのか。早く来いって言ってるだろ。
His voice rings out. The golden servant does not appear. The bloody blue spearman takes a step towards Shinji.
くそくそくそくそくそ。なんだよお前。死に損ないのくせに何かっこつけてんだよ。消えろよ。目障りだってわかんないのかよこの化け物。
A strike whips out. A single precise strike, like a flash of light, stabs Shinji in the right shoulder. His scream fills the room. Lancer withdraws his spear, looking bored. He puts his face in front of Shinji's.
うせろ。死に損ないでもな。お前程度なら1000人殺したところで支障はない。
Hugging the wall and cowering away from the spear pointed at him, Shinji leaves the room in a mad scramble.
たく、無駄な体力使わせやがって。
With a heavy sigh, Lancer walks over back to Ren. The wind-cutting spear severs her bindings like
あ
tissue
りがとう。
paper.
助かったわ、ランサー。
Ren thanks him for her freedom. She bows to Lancer, ignoring the filth around them. الفلث ده طبعا اللي هو كوتومني كير.
ま、成り行きだからな。礼を言われる筋じゃねえ。
And that's why you're based, bro. Very based. Suddenly he collapses limply.
ランサー。
Ren can't catch him in time. Lancer's too weak to even lean against the wall now, and he slumps to the ground. His legs won't move. His limbs are already long dead. It seems nonsensical that he managed to stand up, kill his master, and set Ren free. Guts, bitch! Guts! He's literally the first guy to get guts in the entire Fate series. A sudden cuff of blood stains his blue armor further.
待ってて、すぐに傷を塞ぐから。
Ren rushes over to the bloody spearman, but he stops her with a hand.
無駄だ。俺のゲイボルクで破壊された心臓は簡単には治らん。大体な、そんな余分なマルカ残ってねえだろお前。
けどそれじゃ。
まあ気にするな。こういうのには慣れてる。英雄ってのはな、いつだって理不尽な命令で死ぬものなんだからよ。
His easygoing tone is the same as it always has. Even seconds away from death, the spearman doesn't change the way he acts. Cool to the end, bro. Very cool to the end. Ren stands up wordlessly. Seeing that, Lancer breathes a sigh of relief, as if a weight was lifted from his shoulders.
いや、お互いつまんねえ相棒を引いちまったな。
そうね。けど私のはつまんないっていうより 扱いづらいだけだったかな。
違いない。お前のような女が相棒だったら言うことはなかったんだが、あいにく昔っからいい女とは縁がなくてな。まったくこればっかりは何度繰り返しても治らねえみてえだ。
He chuckles dryly, and then
さあ早く行け。こいつは俺が連れて行く。お前はお前の相棒のところに戻らないと。
the spearman urges the girl to leave. He prepares answers, the fire rune in his hand, as soon as he inscribes it on the ground and charges it with all of his remaining magical energy. It'll burn the entire room to cinders. Rin understands his determination and turns to leave.
さよならランサー。短い間だったけど、私もあなたみたいな人は好きよ。
She runs off to the great hall.
小娘がもうちょっと年取って出直してこい。
Yeah, give me Lancer. I'll like come back when you're older, yes. Lancer likes his ladies like he likes his wine. Mature and fine. A heartly guffaw escapes his lips. Flames engulf him. The blaze consumes Lancer and his master's body. Not a trace is left behind. Like a mirage, the crimson spear and azure armor disappears into the flames. Truly based to the end. Interlude out. Speaking of interludes, I need to pee. Yasta.
Bye.
My own interlude has come. Hambi Buick.
Okay.
Toilet time. And I'm back. In black. Susak on mine at sec.
الانترود حاجة خلص؟ بسرعة.
ايه الانترلود حاجة سريعة. انا زي نفسي ما اقعد اهرش كتير.
ناس تتعلم منك موضوع.
لا انا اتعلم من نفسي. Identical source clash. Shiremi and the man's attacks are completely equal. Yet each time they clash, my blades break and I'm wounded badly. I'm cut deeply by attacks I should have intercepted. His Kanshu shatters my Kanshu and cuts me open in a sidelong slash. I desperately try to avoid the strike, but I can't. The wound isn't fatal, but it lacerates my muscle and will probably become a critical injury. I bite back the pain and try to knock the enemy's Baki out of his right hand.
Huh? Hey.
He shatters my weapon and blocks me there too. Our swords and skills should be the same, but I'm facing an insurmountable wall.
お前の感想と俺の感想が同等とでも思ったか。 お前はまだまだ基本骨子の想定が甘い。いかにイメージ通りの外見材質を保とうが、構造に利がなければ崩れるのは当然だ。イメージといえど筋が通ってなければ瓦解する。
Simultaneously, he unleashes attacks to cut open my flank and my forehead. I immediately project a pair of swords to parry with. I have a headache so bad it nearly blinds me. It isn't from the burden of projection. It is that headache from before. The hunch I had when I was looking for Tosaka, the fever I get every time I face him. This time is the greatest burden yet, and it's driving my body crazy. I fend off a slash after a slash. I attempt to cut him down and return. And each time the red headache burns my eyes. Is it the contradiction of Shiro Emi and heroic spirit Emi existing at the same time? Since the moment we recognize each other, my body has felt off every time we make contact. I trace his swordsmanship and even acquired his replication skills. It makes sense that I picked it up quickly. After all, his skills are the most optimal combat techniques for Shiremiya, honed over years of experience. How could I not take to them quickly? In trying to catch up to him, I learned things about my future self that I shouldn't have. My eyes go numb. Each swing of the sword, each shower of sparks creates flashes of light robbing me of my vision. My skills can't keep up and each attack does my vision red. I wouldn't mind if that is all this was. My body's already torn to shreds. A headache is nothing compared to the feeling of having my stomach torn open with a branding iron. The problem is the headache won't stop as long as there's something else to draw out from him.
都合5本目だな。投影による複製ではそろそろ限界か。お前の魔力量はよくわかっている。そのざまでは残り3本。わざわざあれを見せてやったというのに、未だそんな勘違いをしているとはな。
I hear a hint of disappointment in his tones. The wrong idea, as if that matters right now. More importantly, I need to do something about this headache. It's coming from you.
至ったところで不可能ではあるか。今のエミやシローが生成できる魔力では足りない。そう。どちらにせよ。
My headache worsens. He branches his sword as if to settle this once and for all.
貴様に賞賛など一部たりともなかったということだ。
And brings his sword down on my head in a crisscross slash. I raise my swords to defend and they shatter. My body goes numb like it's been pounded by a sledgehammer. And as the headache reaches its and the headache burns not just my eyeballs but my brain. It's flowing in. So this right now is even scarier than the pain. My eye يعني هيجيبوا لي صرع بالطريقه اللي بيرموا البتاع في عيني. They are his memories. The reason he's changed so much. I'm seeing fragments of the events that Shiremiya will experience in the future. عيني. I don't know if they're right or wrong. I'm sure nobody can be the judge of that. Beautiful things were ugly and ugly things were beautiful. مش عارف بالظبط. Objectively, there was nothing repulsive about them. So what made him go astray? Sophistry, misrepresentation, treachery, narcissism. Those make up most of what I saw. I am the bone of my sword. And yet he didn't seem to mind. He swore oaths and had ideals to uphold. He didn't care that he lost. What he lost. Even if others betrayed him, he believed that there would be a future as long as he didn't betray himself. If he never complained or even showed himself getting hurt. Steel is my body and fire is my blood. Then to the people around him, he was no different from a machine. He was useful to have around, so they used him. They only saw him as a tool. But even a machine can have ideals to uphold, so he accepted being treated as a convenient tool. which is really stupid. I have created over 1,000 blades, unknown to death, nor known to life. It wasn't something he could tell anyone else. The more he failed to save people and the more people he killed, the less he could profess his ideals. Eventually, his only option was to stick to them as resolutely as he could. The result? Shiremiya failed to uphold his ideals he dreamed of even once, and learned that he was a nuisance spouting foolish drivel. Have withstood the pain to create many weapons. Look, this was his fate. Look, this is where you will end up. My heart breaks. Don't feel sorry for him. Don't feel sorry for him. Don't feel sorry for him. Don't feel sorry for him, but my heart feels like it's going to break when I know that this is the path that awaits me. Yet those hands will never hold anything. Everything you believed in, everything you believe in, after you were shown that it was all a lie and a fanciful dream, you still. We clash again. This time he comes straight for my heart, not with dual swords, but with a spike-like sword. I retreat to gain some distance. I'm holding the sword I replicated in the spur of the moment. I fight against the nausea. What did I just see? Forget it. Forget you saw anything. I just need to defeat him now. I can't afford to dwell on anything else.
計算違いか。前世の自分を考慮、憑依させることで、かつての技術を習得する魔術があると聞くが、俺と打ち合うたびに、お前の技術は鍛えられていくようだな。
Panting, I ready myself for his next strike.
となると、引き出したものは投影技術だけではあるまい。その顔、今にも吐きそうな最低の面構えからすると、お前も見たな。
He holds his breath. Don't make me say it. Don't make me remember. If you tell me what I just saw,
ならば話は早い。それは全て事実だ。エミヤしろ。
The red cloak flutters and in an instant, he closes the gap and thrusts the spike at me. My weapon is destroyed in one blow. A sword I hastily projected for the first time can't hold up against his weapons. And yet, he throws aside his weapon while I'm unarmed. The next projection is Durandal, said to be a sword of conquerors. Bassam Durandal!
Oh,
بتاع صاحبنا الايبو من LB5. I skip 4 counts and instantly project a replica of his weapon. Of course my imitation broke with one attack. I've fallen. I was pushed back and fell backwards into the rubble. And then I'm surprised. Just that fall was enough to stain the rubble red. Huh? I just never noticed that my body is dead both inside and outside.
そこまでだ。叶わないと知ってなおここに現れる愚かさ。生涯くだらぬ理想にとらわれ、自らの意志を持たなかったまがいもの。それが自身の正体だと理解した。
His voice resounds. I'm covered in wounds. Each of them is deep enough to sink a finger into. I'm seriously screwed.
そんなものに生きている価値はない。何よりこの俺が確信しているのだ。エミヤシロウという男の人生に価値などない。 ただ救いたいから救うなど、そもそも感情として間違えている。人間として故障したお前は初めからあってはならない偽物だった。
I have almost no magical energy left. To make matters worse, my magic circuits are burning. They've been burning since yesterday's projection, actually. Something that was about to break is now completely broken, that's all. But my body protests that it can still fight. I've just been playing tough, pretending that my broken heart is whole. So, I need to stand up and beat him.
無駄なこと。俺はお前の理想だ。叶うはずなどないと今ので理解できたはずだが。
I invest what remains of my consciousness into all of my circuits. My nerves splinter and scream. Within myself I weave together 8 counts without skipping a beat.
Dress off.
I acquire his dual swords, Kansho and Bakuya, a pair of masterworks forged by an ancient smith.
Dress off.
I swing. I'll keep attacking over and over with all my remaining strength until I burn out. Dual swords need dual swords to intercept them. Archer switches weapon to Kansho and Bakuya, then defends against my combo without taking a single step back.
そうか。認めるわけにはいかないのは道理だな。俺がお前の理想である限り、エミヤ四郎は誰よりも俺を否定しなければならない。
His calm words piss me off. He just keeps quipping at me while I can hardly even breathe. I attack desperately. He locks our swords together without burying me. I'm being pushed back, weapons and all. There's a vast gap in our physical strength. I don't have a chance of winning a pushing match.
では聞くがな、シロ。
He was up.
お前は本当に正義の味方になりたいと思っているのか？
For an instant, the sudden question makes my mind go blank.
何を今さら俺はなりたいんじゃなくて絶対になるんだよ。
I put my muscle into it and glare right back at him, and he answers.
そう、絶対にならなければならない。なぜならそれはエミヤ四郎にとってただ一つの感情だからだ。逆らうことも否定することもできない感情。
انت فعلا تبغى تكون هيرو اوف جاستس؟
たとえそれが自身の内から現れたものでないとしても。
His heart-wrenching words stopped me in my tracks. It is a desire that didn't come from within me. I deny it before I even consider what that means. I can't let him make me say it. I can't realize what he means. Deep down I know that if I comprehend what he means, then Shiroimiya's very foundation will crumble away.
ほう。その様子ではうすうす感づいてはいたようだな。いや、初めから気づいていて、それを必死に遠ざけていただけだったのか。今の俺では思い出すことさえできないが。
I clamped my lips shut. I don't want to know. I know that I shouldn't know. Still, I finally realize that I have to know it. Shiroimiya's paradox. The answer to what my mistake was and what's wrong with me.
俺にはもはやお前の記憶などない。だが、それでもあの光景だけは覚えている。一面の炎と充満した死の匂い。絶望の中で助けを乞い、叶えられた時の感情。 エミヤキリツグという男の俺を助け出した時に見せた安堵の顔を。
I'd accepted my death and my heart was empty. Then someone saved me. My rescuer smiled at me with tears in his eyes. When I saw that, I thought that he looked so happy.
そうだ。お前はただ一人助けられたことで、助けられなかった人々に後ろめたさを感じていたわけじゃない。ただ、エミやキリツグに憧れただけだ。あの男のお前を助けた顔があまりにも幸せそうだったから、自分もそうなりたいと思っただけ。
Right. Back then I wasn't the one who was saved. I consider a thought that I'd been avoiding. If Kritsugu caused that fire, then the guilt would have been unbearable. It was a tragedy without a single survivor. Kritsugu must have searched for survivors like a man possessed. And then he found one, when none were expected. He found a child that should have been beyond helping, who shouldn't even have been alive. What a miracle that must have felt like. But I understood that he saved me. I didn't know his circumstances. It was good enough for me that someone rescued me from that hell. Even if the emotion was directed at himself, his will to save me and the eagerness, the earnestness of wishing for someone to be saved were all genuine. And that was enough. It was enough for me that Kritsugu saved me after I had become nothing. That's why.
子が親に憧れるのは当然だ。だが、お前はそれが行き過ぎた。エミやキリツグに、エミやキリツグがなりたかったものに憧れるだけならよかった。だが、最後に奴はお前に呪いを残した。言うまでもないだろう。それがお前の全てだと言ってもいい。
じいさんの夢は俺だ。
That was the answer. A man even emptier than me heard my innocent words and trusted his wish to me in relief and passed away. From that moment on, Shiroemi had no choice but to become a hero of justice. My own feelings didn't matter. All I needed to do was become the person I looked up to, for the sake of someone I looked up to when I was young. The wish for everyone to be happy was an impossible one, which came from Kritsugu, not me.
気づいているのだろう。シロ、お前の理想はただの借り物だ。エミやキリツグという男がなりたかったもの、エミやキリツグが正しいと信じたものを真似ているだけに過ぎない。
I grit my teeth and desperately try to bolster my breaking heart. And yet...
正義の味方だと笑わせるな。誰かのためになるとそう繰り返し続けたお前の思いは決して自ら生み出されたものではない。そんな男が他人の助けになるなどと思い上がりも甚だしい。
His blades cut through the air. His swings filled with reproach rained down on me with unprecedented aggression. As I watch the raging flurry of blows, I accept that I'm going to die here, and just like I did 10 years ago. Impact after impact pounds me down. Once beautiful swordsmanship has deteriorated into brute force. My left arm trembles after blocking the strikes. The shock of it has broken my fingers holding the sword. I scrounge up every bit of mental focus I have left to create Kanshu and just barely deflect another slash. He's got me. His first assault already pushed me to near death. I won't survive this next barrage of blows. Well, barrage of blows, but whatever. Yet somehow, my heart is broken, but my body denies him with all its might. It screams that he's wrong. But my body, my body.
You know.
Like a part of me earnestly feels it strong to admit that he's right and let myself die here. I look up. My eyes aren't working. They don't see my enemy, they only replay his memories. Within them, there is an image of me huddled up like a turtle in its shell, trying desperately to survive. I hear more of the sounds of blades clashing. It's him. With each attack, he berates himself.
そうだ。誰かを助けたいという願いが綺麗だったから憧れた。
I take his sword strike again and again. Bakuya is broken, Kanshu is my last lifeline.
故に自身からこぼれ落ちた気持ちなどない。これを偽善と言わず何という。
Kanshu breaks and my life begins to peter out. My chest hurts. Shiremiya's heart is torn apart not by the waterfall of sword strikes, but by Archer's words.
この身は誰かのためにならなければならないと脅迫観念に突き動かされてきた。それが苦痛だと思うことも破綻していると気づく間もなく、ただ走り続けた。
Denial after denial. With each rejection, I lose my will to fight. My body already wants to retire, unable to take the physical shock, and yet, that very same body keeps denying him desperately.
だが、所詮は偽物だ。そんな偽善では何も救えない。いいな。もとより何を救うべきかも定まらない。
I am sent flying. I sail through the air, not unlike during the encounter with Berserker. But I plant my feet. His blow threatened to send me tumbling into the rubble, but I stand my ground with all my might. My body knows. It's stubbornly refusing to fall because it knows that it can't get up again once it does. I plant my broken Kanshu in the ground and use it to support my weight. I pitch forward, nearly falling over, and I can't get up. I brace myself against Kanshu with both hands holding on it like a walking stick. I must look pathetic. From the side, I might even look like I'm kneeling before him.
その理想は破綻している。自身より他人が大切だという考え、誰もが幸福であってほしい願いなど空想のおとぎ話だ。そんな夢を抱いてしか生きられないのであれば、抱いたまま溺死しろ。
My life isn't worth living. No, he said that my entire life was worthless. My weapons are gone, it's futile to even stand up. Meanwhile, he doesn't even look winded, much less wounded. This duel is decided. No, it was from the very beginning. There was no way Shiremiya could ever match the heroic Spiritomia. But this is wrong too. If the gap in our ability was truly that large, then this silly scuffle wouldn't even happen. It is my heart that lost this fight. I am weak because I realized that I'm wrong and accepted that he's right. I've only lost on that front. Because...
何?
Because my body has been protesting that it won't lose to you. Why else? Why else would it get stronger every time you dismissed my ideals as a fake?
ふざけんな、こんちくしょう!
I can reach him. I know I can. If my weapons are broken, I'll just use them as they are. If everything I have is broken, then I'll mobilize everything I don't have. If I haven't lost, then there are depths I've still yet to reach. My headache throbs again. For an instant I see his scenery, probably for the last time. I can't understand him, but I think I can learn from his pain. He's a hero whose incantations express and judge himself. Right now I can't understand the will behind those words, but I'll accept them in your place. I chant the verse loud and proud. Emiya's own words hurt him. He accepted that and chose to kill me. That's all he wanted at the end of his long journey. Then, just as you deny me, I'll strike you down if it's the last thing I do. I whisper it without thinking. I look up. On the verge of death, I stand up to him. I swallow a glob of blood that was blocking my throat. The once fading Yang sword Kanshu is cloaked in concrete image once more.
貴様まだ。
Oh. Wala.
こんなのが夢だなんてそんなこと。
I've always known that. But I've kept believing in it because I think it's right. I followed in Kritsugu's footsteps because it's a dream that won't come true and an impossible ideal. Even if it never comes true. If I keep running, I'll get close to it one day.
そうか。彼女の鞘。契約が切れたところで、その死後は続いている。
I ready my sword. I don't care about that. Right now I just...
お前には負けない。誰かに負けるのはいい。けど、自分には負けられない。
need to keep being your Emiya until the very end. It's an unbelievable fight between swords. He charges and despite being fully wounded. His fingers are broken, his limbs shredded, he hasn't even realized that he's not breathing anymore. The speed is insignificant and the blows he delivers are mediocre. He may have absorbed Archer's knowledge and advanced to the point where he can fight him, but he's back to being a boy again. He executes a haphazard mediocre attack, and yet, that first blow is heavier than any of the other attacks before. Apathy turns to astonishment. His swords seem to shout. The boy swings the long sword faster than his opponent ever imagined. Where is this power coming from? The vigor of their clash reaches an unprecedented pitch. The man can't even pivot to defense. Each attack is lethal enough to take his head. He judges that this situation must be taken seriously and moves his swords accordingly. Up and down, left and right. The 4 slashes unleashed in an instant are enough to cut the boy to ribbons. But he blocks them. No, the boy launches a blade tempest that overcomes the 4-fold technique. He wields his long swords with swift skill. The man senses that he must attack or be cut down. Go, Miyashiro! The long sword assails its dying enemy. The boy swings his swords foolhardily. The two sides struggle. Sparks fill the air, declaring that any who enter the ring will be torn apart. But this should be the dying spark of a walking corpse. With each attack, the boy's breathing becomes more labored and he looks closer to collapse, but he takes another step and attacks again. Having seen this, the man is sure of something. His enemy doesn't have any strength left. The boy in front of him is a walking corpse, and yet why does the boy continue to wield the sword, as if he has infinite strength? He isn't conscious of it. He doesn't know what his opponent is doing, nor can he tell if his attacks are working. He cries out, his muscles begging for oxygen. They demand that he stop due to the lack of blood. And he pushes through it all with brute force. With sheer force of will, really. Not just brute force. Only one thought occupies his mind. His feelings are fake, just as the guy says. He probably can't become a hero of justice. As long as Shiromi looks up to that goal, he'll reach the same destination as the man before him. But he felt that it was beautiful. He knows that it's hypocritical to value others over himself. And still, he longed for such a life, wondering how nice it would be to live that way. It is the only motivation driving his body forward on the verge of death. He can't hear what his enemy is saying. It speaks to how fierce the clash is and how meek his foe's voice is. Looking closer, the boy's hands gripping the sword must have melded with the hilt. He must have done it to secure the sword, but by doing that he will directly feel the impact from the sword. He's bloody, and if he takes a single step he'll pitch over. The boy's accepted that each swing of his sword will be a hellish suffering. It irritates the man, but he takes it. It seems to offend a stubbornly resistant enemy. But he's just as irritated with himself for not backing down when he knows that even one step back would end this. But how could he retreat now? There's no room for parley now, and he's in a pitched duel with his enemy. It would be shameful to turn his back on that childishly forged sword, and it would be utterly humiliating not to meet his attacks head on. All it would take for his enemy to destroy himself is for the man to retreat one step. But he senses that he'll have conceded something decisive if he backs down now. Soon, this warrior will fade. His enemy's at his limits. 3 more attacks. If he repels just 3 attacks, then his enemy will destroy him. He collects his tongue at his own foolishness. Just earlier he thought the boy had 2 attacks left, then he delivered more than 10. The boy isn't going to fall. The boy's voice is inaudible. The boy who's in the brink of death frantically goes up against the obstacle before him. And then he sees him. He looks upon him with his own eyes, and for the first time. I keep swinging my swords until I reach my foe with arms ready to pull off. The only thing that can be heard is the strained yell. That shout is the price I pay for each exchange of blows. There are people who weren't saved, and myself who wasn't saved. The memories come unbidden, and I swear that I'd never let this happen again. How many years have passed? There were things that were lost, things I lost. There will always be things that I forget and fail to pick up. That's why I made an oath I won't forget. To become a hero of justice, to always do what's right, even if it isn't my own wish. Even if it's just a way to lighten my own sins, I'll keep that oath. I'll make that dream come true. When I was young, someone saved me and entrusted me with his dream and passed away alone. I believe in the wish behind his words. Even if the whole world shuns me, and the oath turns out to be a curse, I won't give it up. And then, the man realizes that there is no end to this repeating conflict. This enemy will not stop. The enemy will not stop on his own. His enemy makes each attack with desperate abandon, but he isn't even aware of who he's fighting. The boy is trying to cut down himself. He is the one who is doing the obstructing. The man's enemy is swinging his sword with everything he's believed in, and everything he'll continue to believe in. Realizing that, the man gnashes his teeth. Well, gnashes actually. He sees the boy keep fighting, even if he knows he can't win, even if he knows there is no point. That is the exact same mistake the man once made. So why? Why does he want to see how far this boy will go? Aww. He raises his long sword. The enemy attacks can no longer be trifled with. He repels the attacks and counters with a strike meant to crush the enemy's skull with certainty. The high-pitched sound of metal. The boy repels what should have been a decisive blow. He couldn't even stop one attack until now, but he easily defended against a strike delivered with this man's full might. He holds his breath. The enemy flexes his sword and resheathes it in a single large stance. But his eyes, they're looking straight at him. The impact breaks one of his limbs. Oh, one of my limbs. My sense of pain isn't numb at all. The pain is enough to knock me out, but I push through it with sheer rage. I'm dehydrated, I can't afford to lose any more liquid. The enemy's left arm is wide open, I've lost one side of my body, so this will have to be the last blow. But that thought doesn't enter my head. All I can think of is... He slashes with his long sword in an effort to project his exposed left chest. He can make it. It would be easy to close the distance. This is my last chance. That's the only thought on my mind. Even if Shirame is fake, this is real. He wants everyone to be happy. It's an ideal that everyone's felt, I'm sure. So I won't take it back. Because this dream will always be. His gaze is straight. Mistakes and lies. He shakes off everything that pierces him. And he continues to run without stopping.
決して間違いなんかじゃないんだから
The words drive straight into his chest. The attack comes fueled by a hell-bent determination. There is enough time to block it. But the gears never turn in his head, and the battle draws to an abrupt close. Stab. He hears the sound of the blade piercing his chest. The surprised one is, of course, the Red Knight. The boy bet everything on a desperate attack, so he would expect it to defeat his opponent. He couldn't afford to make any other choice anyway. So it is the knight who is surprised. Truly, he wonders why he didn't defend against an attack that would have been easy to stop. I'm about to collapse, so I lean on my good right leg. I drove Kancho into Archer's chest.
Archer. なぜ?
Has she been watching the whole time? Saber asks a question from the entrance to the hall. Archer doesn't answer. Maybe he feels that he doesn't need to, or maybe he doesn't have an answer for her. My fingers feel numb. My broken fingers tell me they can't hold a sword anymore. The Red Knight doesn't move. I might have stabbed him through the chest, but he's a servant, so he could easily counterattack. But his arms remain at his sides and show no sign of movement. I know what that means, of course.
俺の勝ちだ、アーチャー。
I fix my gaze on him and declare victory. The Red Knight closes his eyes once and admits.
ああ。そして、私の敗北だ。
He stares into the distance. His murmur sounds like it was meant to convince himself. I pull out the sword. The moment my projected sword touches the air, it disperses into dust, as if it never existed. I finally look around, my tension drained. What a wreck. My lacerations look like they're on the mend, but in some places they are turning into a reddish-black color. Archer said something about it being Saber's sheath, but I wonder how it decides what to heal first. It heals the cuts right away, but broken bones seem to be of a lower priority. Oh, I hear the hurried footsteps coming from the west side of the hole in the direction Lancer disappeared off to. Someone is coming. She appears on the second story terrace, jumps down the whole floor without hesitating and hugs herself from the pain of the fall.
シロ、無事？あーちゃん、あんたその傷どうしちゃったのよ?
Tosaka raises her voice to match the distress with which she arrived. Lancer rescued her just as promised. Blossom honestly amazed to see Tosaka alive and well. She can't decide if she wants to check if I'm okay or be upset at Archer for getting injured.
まったく、つくづく甘い。彼女がもう少し非道な人間なら、私もかつての自分になど戻らなかったもの。
Oh, Bassem. بيقول لك if only you'd been a slightly more ruthless person, I wouldn't have gone back to being my old self. الموضوع مش مجرد ان هو بس يعني فاكرها من زمان، علشان لولا ان هي شخصيتها كده شخصية طيبة ومحترمة كان هيفضل مهزأ. رين نفسها أثرت فيه مش بس شيرو. The Red Knight's words are sarcastic, but I can only hear warmth behind them. After giving Tosaka a look, he turns on his heel, as if to leave the stage.
ともあれ、決着はついた。お前を認めてしまった以上、エミヤなどという英雄はここにはいられん。敗者は早々に立ち去るとしよ
う。He isn't even going to say goodbye to Tosaka? He's heavily wounded and he doesn't have a master. Is he going to disappear here and return to where the other heroic spirits come? It all happened in an instant. A lethal attack just as I began to relax around Tosaka. Multiple swords rain down. The torrent of blades comes down to skewer me as I stand around spacing out. I hit the ground. Someone pushes me and I fall backwards into the rubble. I was shoved about a meter away. From where I am I can only watch.
اوه مش تبغاني.
بضيل
مش
فعلا
هذا
بضيع
بضيع.
ايه؟
ليش يا قلقمش؟ مو وقتك.
مش بس مو وقته، يعني انا مش كذا اقول لك، يعني الناس انا ما ادري في نص زبه ليش هذا ما عنده اي نوع من انواع الشرف. يعني شوف لانسر ما عنده استعداد يحارب احد الا هو في الباور. سيبر نفس الشيء، ما تبغى تتشرمط، ما تبغى تتشرمط. هذا الوحيد اللي ما عنده اي نوع من انواع الشرف. فاهم؟ يعني انت شايف اثنين مقطعين قدامك بوم رايح يقتلهم، مو مستني مثلا يرجعوا يقاتلوه فول باور ولا شيء. لا طول بس خلينا نطلق خلاص.
شوف الصورة كم طعن.
نفس حاطين نفس الصورة اللي هي صورته في الماضي حقه بالعين، بس هذه مرة بألوان. Instead, all I can do is watch another version of me get skewered before my very eyes. Saber's challenge breaks the silence. Her voice is directed at the second floor, at the top of the broken stairs.
楽しませてもらったぞ。偽物同士。実にくだらない戦いだった。
ده مالكش لازمة.
貴様。あ、
10年ぶりだな、セイバー。お前とはもう少し早く顔合わせをする気であったが、予定が変わった。予想外の事故ばかり起きてな。俺の思惑とはずれてきてしまった。
It's Gilgamesh, the servant who defeated Berserker and killed Elia. He ignores Saber glare and looks down at me and Archer.
理解したか？それが本物の重みというものだ。いかに形を見せ力を見せようが、所詮は作り物。本物の輝きには及ばない。
He raises a hand, as if about to command an army.
偽物が作り上げた贋作など見るのも汚らわしい。クズめ。貴様らのうちには何一つ新作が存在せぬ。他人の真似事だけで出来上がった偽物は解くゴミになるがいい。
He unleashes countless noble phantasms into the hole. An unavoidable torrent falls on us. I count just under 30 noble phantasms. Even if I was still in one piece, there is nothing I could do to defend myself against his assault. Dust fills the air. The hole collapses even further, rocked by explosions. In the middle of all of it, I see him. A fluttering red cloak. He runs towards me, looking like a pincushion, and gives me another shove. I watch his red figure fade into the distance. His eyes convey a firm message. You defeat him. He tells me that since he lost to me and I'm going to become a hero of justice, this is a villain I have to defeat. A cloud of dust blocks out my vision. The red cloak sinks into the rubble. I'm sure I saw him before he left. His confident eyes declare, this servant is no match for us. It won't be Saber or Tosaka who defeats him. My other self tells me that Emiya Shiro is the Golden Servant's natural enemy. My vision clears up. A layer of dust settles over the hole, now covered in a new layer of rubble. Nothing else happens. The Red Knight disappeared after he was buried under the rubble.
驚いたぞアーチャー。あの傷で他人を救う余裕があったとはな。
His tone is filled with derision and irony. The man's lips curl into a smirk. He looks down at Archer's bloody remains. Silence falls. Gilgamesh is the strongest being in this place now. One wrong move and will follow Archer. Saber's lips are tightly sealed. She's watching from a distance to face the enemy. However,
この誰に断って私のアーチャーに手を出してんのよ。
Tosaka loses her temper after losing Archer. Light flies through the air. Tosaka charges the jewel with as much energy as she can and fires pure destructive energy without any modifications. Gilgamesh doesn't even try to dodge it. The attack doesn't leave a scratch
死
on
に
him.
損ないを先にするつもりだったのだが、順序が変わったな、女。
The swords floating behind him sentenced Tosaka to death. They hurtle towards her at high speed, but Saber arrives even faster to deflect them, protecting her master.
セイバー。リン、下がって。あの男は危険だ。手を出せば殺されます。
ほう、今のマスターはその小娘か。よかろう。ならば今の無礼は不問に付す。お前を失っては楽しみが減るからな。
Saber just glares up at our enemy, her invisible sword at the ready.
なぜここにいるアーチャー。近江は前回の聖杯戦争で呼ばれたサーバント。そのあなたがなぜ今回も限界している。
なぜも何もあるまい。前回の戦いが終わった後、我は消えずにこの世にとどまっただけだが。
そんなバカな。サーバントは聖杯が消えた時点でこの世との接点をなくすはずだ。なればあなたが10年もの間とどまっていられるはずがない。
そうでもないぞ。もとよりこの世との接点は聖杯ではなくよりしろとなったマスターだ。聖杯はあくまで道を通したに過ぎん。聖杯が消えた後も魔術師が魔力を提供し続ければこの世にはとどまれる。
Foreshadowing.
もっとも聖杯の助力なしでサーバントを維持できるマスターなどそうはいないがな。その点で言えば俺のよりしろは魔力不足ではあった。
ならばどちらにせよあなたがとどまれるはずがない。サーバントを持つことにマスターが耐えられないならあなたは召喚者ともども枯渇しているはずだ。
それもやりようであろう。魔術回路が少なければ知識で補うのが魔術師という輩だ。その点で言えば俺のマスターはなかなかに筋金の入った男だった。
النتانة حقته هو البيزمنت حقه.
ايه بس يعني اللي يقول لك ان الطريقه الصحيحه حق كالدي الغش حقهم.
الكالدي هذه الطريقة الصحيحة فيها. شغل لك مفاعل نووي ابن الحلال واستعمله عشان يعطي مانا للسيرفر. هذا التصرف الصحيح. وطبعا في الغشش الزيادة انه ميرلين يجي يساعد لما نزودها شوية بكمية السيرفنت المتخلفة اللي موجودين عندنا. So his master is no longer alive. No, Shinji was his master. The fact that the ungovernable Gilgamesh was following Shinji's orders was proof enough of that.
ではあなたのマスターはライダーのマスターと同じように。
ああ、事故で補えなければ他人から奪うのは当然だろう。だが実を言えばそのような手間もいらなかったのだがな。俺は聖杯を浴びた唯一のサーバントだ。この時代における受肉など10年前に済ませている。
Saber stares him in shock. The mention of 10 years ago seems to pain her.
そう、お前のおかげだぞセイバー。あれが何であるか我は誰よりも熟知している。何しろその新欲をぶちまけられ中にあるものを見たのだからな。
ではあの時あなたは。
ああ、聖杯の正体を理解した。その時に決めた。あれは俺だけが扱うとな。
He speaks to Saber. No, the Golden Servant's decree is directed at all of us.
聖杯をあなたが使うだと。
そう、マスターなどという寄生動物に分け与えてやる義理もあるまい。俺は俺の目的のために聖杯を使おう。その最大の障害であった召喚者先ほど消えた。残ったものはよりしろにもならぬ魔術師もどきだけだ。俺の望みにはそのなり損ないこそがふさわしい。もっともお前の肉ならばあるいは完全な聖杯が出来上がるやもしれんが、さて。
The man eyes Tosaka. Tosuke shrinks away and goes a little pale, realizing how dangerous he is. His red eyes are ominous beyond comparison. Anyone would feel intensely uncomfortable under their gaze. His eyes are so bizarre that they even scare the unflappable Tosuke.
バカな。聖杯はマスターが得るものだ。我らサーバントでは得られないからこそ、マスターに協力するのだろう。
それこそがおかしな話だ。聖杯に触れられるのはサーバントだけでありながら、聖杯を得られるのはマスターだけだというのか。
しかし
全てはくだらぬざれ言だ。7人のマスターによる聖杯の奪い合い、最後の一人となったマスターのみが聖杯を得る儀式だと。そんなものはただの隠れ蓑に過ぎん。もとより聖杯の恒例など済んでいる。連中は毎回聖杯を用意してから7人のサーバントを呼ぶ。わかるか騎士よ。連中が必要としたのは聖杯ではなく、その中に入るものだ。マスターなど元は我らを呼ぶためだけの回路に過ぎん。魔術師どもはな、聖杯を作りはしたが、その中身を用意できなかった。先ほども言っただろ。事故で補えないのなら、よそから奪ってくるのが奴らだと。聖杯を満たす最高純度の魔力、守護者とも言える霊長最強の魂こそが奴らが求めたものだ。7人のサーバントとはな、もともと聖杯にくべられる生贄のことらしいぞ。
اوه بسام في ريفيل مهم هنا. السيفن سيرفنتس ان هو الترو، لو عايز توصل للترو جريل محتاج 7 سيرفنتس مش 6 بس. ده اللي بيخليها تتقلب من هولي جريل الى جريتر جريل. Saber stares at him in shock. Her eyes try to deny his words. It can't be true. The Holy Grail I sought can't be something this abhorrent, she seems to be telling herself.
驚くことはあるまい。聖杯は魂という本人でなければ制御できぬ力を純粋な魔力に返すろ過器だ。ああ、確かにそれならば願いは叶おう。魔術師どもにとっては永遠に使い切れぬ魔力量だろうからな。故に生贄は多ければ多いほどよい。6人ものサーバントをくべればそれは万能と言えるだろう。聖杯が汲み取ったサーバントは5人。奴らが目指した万能の釜まではあと1人分で十分だ。
それではやはり聖杯はマスターにしか扱えない。聖杯が純粋な魔力の貯蔵庫だというのなら、扱えるのは魔術師だけだ。そうだ。持ち主となるマスターさえ優れた術者ならきっと。
あらゆる願いを叶えられるか。たわけ、人間風情にそのような奇跡は与えられん。どれほど強大な力を持とうと自滅するのが人間というものだ。だが安心しろセイバー、この聖杯は本物だ。きちんと7人分の英霊を組み込めば必ず原初に到達する。
يقول لك I guarantee it will reach the origin of all things، اللي هو الروت يعني. can reach the root يعني.
原初。ちょっと待った。じゃあ聖杯ってまさか。
何者かは知らんが、最初にこのルールを敷いた者は間違いなく神域の天才だろうよ。まあしかし俺には関係のない話ではある。俺はそんなものに興味はない。あるのは聖杯の門としての能力だけだ。
聖杯が門だと。
10年前だセイバー。あと一歩で聖杯を手に入れるという時、俺はお前に阻まれた。聖杯は聖剣によって両断され、こぼれ落ちた者は炎となって町を焼き払った。聖杯の真下にいた俺は 当然その本流を一身に浴びたのだ。その時に聖杯の正体を知った。実にくだらぬ。くだらぬが使い道はある。数ある兵器の中でもあれほど殺人に特化したものはあるまい。あれはあのままでいい。万能の釜になどする必要はない。
兵器、聖杯がサーバントをもって生み出すものが兵器だというのか。
もともと我らとて兵器だろう。あれはそれを突き詰めたものに過ぎん。聖杯とは地獄の門。一度開けば中からは56億もの呪いが溢れ出す。琴峰は言っていなかった。聖杯の名はアンリ・マユ。
بسام انرا مانيو اتذكر تاني اهو. الانجري مانجو منشن. يس.
その名の通り全ての人間を食い潰す終わりの泥だと。
Anro Manu. If I recall correctly, that's the name of the devil from Zoroastrianism. I don't know what kind of religion is that. It's said to be a ruler of evil who has been fighting the gods for thousands of years. It's depicted as an embodiment of all of humanity's malice, to be a reflection of humanity's goodwill. So why is the Holy Grail named after some ancient Persian demon?
ではあなたの目的は
そう一層だ。俺は琴峰のように人間をめでようと努める気はない。めでるべきは美しいものだけだ。この世界は楽しいがな、同様にどしがたい。凡白の雑種が生を謳歌するなど王に対する冒涜だ。
شايف الجملة المستفزة دي؟ It is blasphemy to the king to the king for the teeming masses of mongrels to be allowed to celebrate their lives. بعدين يجي لك ناس بيدافعوا عن اخينا ده، يقول لك مش عارف ايه، وعاجبهم قليل بانكوت اوف ذا كينجز بتاع فيت زيرو اللي مالوش لازمه. It's blasphemy to the king for the teeming masses of mongrels to be allowed to celebrate their lives. زعلان عشان الناس بتستمتع. الصم الصمك يلا هتتنام.
في واحدة من الروايات يقول لك جلجامش لما شاف الشعب يستمتع ما ادري خطف كم فرمة وصم.
ما هو بقول لك كائن مقرف يعني بصراحة. هو الحاجة الوحيدة اللي أنقذت الكائن الحسالة ده هي اسمه ايه؟ بابلونيا يعني. الناس بتحبه عشانه في اكسترا شخصيته مختلفة جدا، بس الناس مش مركزة فيه حاجة مهمة جدا. اكسترا مش ناسه اللي كاتبها اصلا، كاتب تاني. فالراجل اخد راحته واختار الاسبكتس اللي هو عايز يكتبها من الكاركتر، بدل ما ياخد الاسبكت اللي هو بتاع جلجامش وهو في اوج خراه. اختار الاسبكت من جلجامش اللي هي بعد ما خلص الهيرويك جورني بتاعته، اللي هو يعني من الاخر كان عامل جلجامش كاستر، كان عامل جلجامش ارشر بشخصيه جلجامش كاستر حرفيا. مدي شخصيه جلجامش كاستر اللي هي الشخصيه الحلوه، وبس حاطط السيرفنت الارشر لانه طبعا ما كانش لسه في كاستر ساعتها.
それでは収める気にもなれん。
バカじゃないのあんた。何が王に対する冒涜よ。人間が一人もいなくなったらそれこそ王様の意味なんてないじゃない。
死に絶えるのならばそれでよい。自らの罪で消え去るのなら生きる価値などはあるまい。俺が欲しいものは雑種ではない。地獄の中ですら生き延びられる者にこそ支配される価値がある。その点で言えば前回のは落第だったな。あの程度の火で死に絶えるなど今の人間は弱すぎる。
His lips curve up in a smile. For the first time, he looks at me, one of these
この世
failures.
すべての悪とやらが何者であるかは知らん。だが都合が良いだろ。すべての人間に等しく落ちる死の咎。人より生まれた人だけを殺す底なしの闇。 本来俺がすべき仕事を任せるにはふさわしい猟犬だ。
Gilgamesh raises an arm. Noble Phantasm floated already behind him, awaiting his command.
では10年前の続きといこう。あの時はくだらぬゴミが混ざったが、こたびはあのようなゴミはおらん。もっともそれ以上にたちが悪いクズが混ざっているようだが。
All of the swords turned to point at me. I tried to stand up, but my broken leg wouldn't move the way I wanted. Crap, I can't even block a single one of those swords. Then why did Archer entrust his will to me? The swords disappear. The golden servant suddenly puts down his arm. He looks up at the ceiling with displeasure and brushes something from his shoulder.
すすで汚れる。命拾いしたな、小僧。
The castle is on fire. I don't know who set it alight, but it seems like a pretty intense blaze. The third floor is already surrounded by flames and they've reached the second floor. No, that's not what I should be surprised about. He really decided not to fight because his clothes got dirty. دوني انا قاعد مستني هو هيوقف حرب ليه. بسام انت عارف وقف حرب ليه المهزأ ده الشرموط ده هدومه توسخ. انا مش مصدق. فور ريل برو، فور ريل انت بجد انت فعلا كده. يا بطولي مش ممكن مش ممكن. شرموط شرموط انت خول يالا وهتموت زي الخول.
逃げるのですか、アーチャー。
場所を変えるだけだ、セイバー。聖杯は俺の手にある。ことは迅速に済ますのが俺の方針だからな。早々に聖杯を作り、地獄の穴を開けてやろ
う。His blonde hair flutters. Gilgamesh walks towards the terrace that isn't on fire.
取り戻したければ早めにしろ。何しろ今回の聖杯は急増の欠陥品だ。急がなければ中身がすべてこぼれてしまうぞ。
I hate this guy so much. His muffled laughter echoes. Then he leaves the burning castle. Sparks have started to dance around the great hole and the ceiling is crumbling by the second. The formerly ornate castle doesn't resemble itself anymore. Its master Garnet crumbles away without a trace as if to follow the pale girl.
في عندك في البي سي اشتغل قاعد يطفى.
ايش اللي قاعد؟ هذا انت سمعت الصوت ولا اجت الصورة اصلا؟
لا سمعت الصوت.
الويندوز ديفندر فاضي قرر يشتغل. ها؟ انترلود امنت بليد وور. شينجي ما له داعي. Shinji Mato wanders through the forest, his breathing ragged and bestial. He was headed in the concrete direction, to be clear. But his mental state is utterly lost. With no objective, all he can do is run. Wandering is the only appropriate word to describe his behavior.
あと少しっていうところで、どいつもこいつも潰しやがって。
He pushes the tree branches aside with one arm, splashing through the mud. Shinji heads for the forest exit. His blood stains them, marking his trail.
يا ما يموت هذا. توقعت خلاص قريب بانكيك خلاص صار بانكيك يعني.
مرتين حصل له بانكيك بس بالضبط زي الحشرات. تعرف انت بعض الحشرات تكون مقاومة مرة ما تموت بسهولة. فهذا عبارة عن حشرة مقاومة زيادة عن اللزوم. Of course the shoulder wound Lancer gave him hasn't healed. He already lost the sensation in his right arm. His wound is red and inflamed and his arm won't move like a necrotized limb. He trips and stumbles into a tree. It must be difficult running with one arm. His right arm hangs like dead weight. Then he realizes that a part of his body has become dead weight and starts to laugh. His laugh turns into a coughing fit. It hurts. أحسن. He feels hot and feverish, perhaps due to the wound. His hazy mind imagines his arm rotting away, then he starts to hallucinate about all the people around him also rotting away. Not just their arms. Also those other idiots should know their place and and be hurt even worse than he is. حتى أحلامك معفنة زيك. He can't stop laughing. The thought makes the pain slightly more bearable. He has a real purpose now. His first goal is to gather arms. He'll take arms from everyone. No exception. What? That's good. What? The girl who wouldn't do what he said, she's the one who likes to... I'm شهرة الجملة القذرة دي. I'm not reading that shit. جملة قذرة أوي. It's such a trash ass sentence. I'm not reading it.
すぐに僕以下にしてやるからさ。
Yabni, it is not physically possible to make anybody lower than you. There are disgusting bugs that are prettier than you, my guy. انت حرفيا تحت اكتر من الكور اوف ذا اير. Shinji mumbles a laugh and looks up. The servant standing in front of him. When did he get there?
What the fuck?
He stares at the servant. The golden servant looks down at Shinji the way one might look at livestock.
傷を負ったのか。ひどいな。それではさぞかし痛かろう。
His tone is utterly disinterested. Shinji's face is sore. He glares at the man in front of him, failing to realize that the servant's words might have implied.
痛かろうだと。誰のせいだと思っているんだ。お前が間抜けだからランサーなんかにやられたんだぞ。番犬役もできないくせに偉そうなことを言うな。
Shinji rages at the servant. The golden servant nods, unconcerned.
その傷はランサーにつけられたのか。
يقول لك خلاص
で
ريح
は、
من
あの
البؤس.
マスターを逃がしたのは奴だったのだ。
ああ、そうだよ。お前がグズだから遠坂を逃がしちまったんだ。あんな死に損ないに取られるなんて思い出しただけで吐き気がする。
مين الصرصار؟ أنت الصرصار يا ابني.
そうか。それは残念だ。
何落ち着き払ってんだよ。遠坂がいなけりゃ聖杯が手に入らないんだろ。さあ、お前のせいで全部台無しだ。分かってんのかよ。これからどうすれば。
安心しろ。予定に狂いはない。聖杯は作り出せ。
The servant speaks emotionlessly. Shinji doesn't realize that the servant's red eyes aren't even looking at him.
どうやって？いくら聖杯があってもその器がないとできないって琴峰も言ってたじゃないか。あのガキの心臓だけじゃ意味がない。あれは優れた魔術回路につなげないと聖杯にならないんだろ。
Shinji approaches his servant and berates him for his incompetence. The golden servant nods
だ
again.
から問題ない。より代になるマスターなら、ここにもう一人いるじゃないか。
Then he casually thrusts his arm out. Squish. Shinji doesn't realize the noise was until the very end. His stomach feels strange. When he looks down, he sees his servant's arm. The fist embedded in his body doesn't hurt, nor is there any blood. The servant's arm sinks deep into his stomach as if it's performing some outlandish spiritual
聖杯
surgery.
が欲しいのだろう。ならばくれてやろう。大事なものなら二度と手放すな。
Blood vessels swell. Wriggle, 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 wiggle, 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 wiggle. He feels something alien swarming and writhing inside of him. And then he ceases to be Shinji Mato. He convulses. There is just a swollen hunk of meat there now. It has no clear shape. It's made of only naked muscles and blood vessels, sudden growth of meat, and short-lived decaying meat. His mind breaks, unable to withstand the discomfort of something wriggle inside of him and the pain of endless growth and decay. The servant watches for a while and then departs as if nothing remarkable happened.
憎いな。力ある魔術師ならば変貌することもないだろうが。まあ、仕方があるまい。
The chains of heavens appear in midair and bind the infinitely expanding and rotting mass of flesh, Currently it's teetering between growth and decay, but the Holy Grail should quickly learn how to use its sauce. Once that happens, the growth should greatly exceed the decay. At this rate, his Holy Grail will soon be complete.
ゲテモノの方が味は良い。何よりお前ならばふさわしい泥を吐き出すだろう、シンジ。
The servant shortless. In his shadow, the mass of flesh repeats, "Help me," in no longer human voice. Interlude Act. كمية الانترلود في Unlimited Blade Works مش طبيعية. شوية انترلود لأرشر وشوية انترلود اسمها ايه لرين، وكمان انترلودين او 3 لشينجي اللي ملوش لازمة.
シロ、傷はもう痛まないのですか？
ああ、うん。そっちの方は問題ない。至って健康だし、中身だってまだ使える。
そうですか。それならいいのですが。
She ends the conversation, but seems something else is still on her mind. It's been an hour since we've returned. We both have something on our minds, but nothing is said. We don't have time to be glad that Tosaka is safe now, nor do we have the time to celebrate our reunion. We're still in a dire situation. The lost servant Gilgamesh. As long as he holds the Holy Grail, we have no choice but to fight him. We don't have a plan to break out of this predicament. The more we think about it, the more we are hit in the feeling of despair. Of course, we wouldn't have anything to say to each other. However, that's not the only reason we're silent. It's probably because this is the last. This will be the last time we're heading into battle. It doesn't matter what the result, win or lose, what awaits us will be the same. The Holy Grail will end here. After that, the three of us won't be able to talk like this again. الكلمة دي زعلتني يا اسطى.
ليش؟
The three of us won't be able to talk like this again يا اسطى. Thinking back, we've only spent 10 short days together. We were thrust into one happening after another during these 10 days, so much so we don't even have time to think about what happened yesterday. But it's not all bad memories during those 10 days. Now thinking back, they are irreplaceable memories I've made in these 10 days. And that's the reason we're not saying anything. We don't want to admit our time together is ending and we're swallowing the words we want to say. Tosaka, Saber, and myself all have the answers in our heads. The reasons we won't say it out loud, it's because we don't want to end what we had in the manner we have now.
じゃあ私から言うけど、私はアーチャーの仇を討つ。裏切られたし、ひどいやつだったけど、あいつはシローだったから。
Tosaka said it with determination in her voice. We will face Gilgamesh. She has said it clearly that we will end this fight.
シローはセイバーにはどうしたって付き合ってもらうけど、マスターじゃないあなたには無理強いできない。あの金ピカ、シローを目の敵にしてるみたいだし、戦うのなら真っ先に狙われると思うけど。
Maybe she's being considerate. She's even given me a reason to back out. But I have my answer already. I can't leave Gilgamesh alone. Also, I have a hunch that the Holy Grail he's trying to use is not something that should exist. But there's another reason why I can't back out.
يقول لك مليان كرتات، تقول لك ممكن
ولا وكمان الخرا الكائن هذا لانه شينجي بس حثالة ما له داعي تحول مرة بزيادة. You will defeat him. He left behind those wars and shoes to keep me alive instead of himself. The same man whose existence is to deny Shiremia. Now that I have made him admit defeat, there is only one path left for me to take.
奴を倒す。自分で戦うと決めたんだ。最後までそれを守らなくちゃ。あいつになんて文句を言われるかわからないだろう。
そう。あなたがそう決めたのなら止めないわよ。
ああ、頼む。それに聖杯は放っておけない。聖杯が奴の言う通りのものだとしたら、そんなものは壊した方がいい。今度こそ完全にこんなことを二度と繰り返さないようにだ。
Saber has been fighting for the sole purpose of gaining the Holy Grail. That hesitation and regret are not something that can be easily erased. Even then,
承知しています。聖杯がギルガメッシュの言う通りのものならば、それはこの世にあってはならないものです。
she agrees to our plan by sacrificing her own wish.
よし。
I stand up from the floor and start walking towards the kitchen. I reach for my equipment in the kitchen. I put on my apron and roll up my sleeves, getting ready for a different kind of battle. يا شيرو عمره ما هيبطل يبقى طباخ يا اسطى.
هذه واحدة من الاسبكت حقه في الارجل.
الاسبكت هذا راح معاه الين الثرون اوف فيوز.
何かいいアイデアでも思いついたの？
ね、いや、飯作ろうと思って。二人とも腹減ってるだろ。
Ignoring the dumbfounded two, I start making preparations for dinner.
話は決まったんだ。なら、あとはいつも通りにしよう。3人で夕食をとって、その後で奴を倒しに行けばいい。
I take out the bowl and frying pan. I will use up everything I have in the fridge. There is no need to hold back. We're going to have a feast.
ええ、そうですね。いつも通り夕食を迎えましょう。私たちにはその方が合っている。そうね。じゃあ私も手伝おっかな。セイバーはお風呂沸かしてきて。
The heavy atmosphere we had just moments ago is gone. The living room feels brighter and livelier. A night with the three of us together that will never come again. But in order to make it feel like any other day, we do our best to make sure we can enjoy our dinner in the most lively way possible. And after we finish and clean up our Western and Japanese mixed style dinner, we resume our strategizing session.
では、
However,
リンは竜道寺に聖杯があると。
the time has come for me to do something very important. تعرف ايه هو something ده بسام؟
نعم.
هسجل عشان هنوقف الستريم على هنا. باي ذا واي اوريدي خلاص عرفت عنوان الستريم الجاي هيبقى ايه.
ليميتد
لا. عرفت العنوان بس بظبطه بزيادة في دماغي. Anyway, we shall end the stream here for today and we'll continue later, which might be actually right after the match. So goodbye to